Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. We have reached the quarter-final stages of the League Cup, where it has provided us a battle at the bridge where Chelsea will take on travellers at Newcastle. Both sides come into this game off the back of wins at the weekend, with Chelsea winning at home to struggling Sheffield United, and Newcastle continuing their strong home form in the league with a thrashing 3-0 win of 10-man Fulham. Chelsea have won 3 games to get to this stage, where all games have been played at home, with victories against League 2 Wimbledon, Premier League Brighton and Championship Blackburn in the last round. It has been a harder route through for Newcastle, despite only playing 2 games in the competition after joining in the third round, with both wins coming against the red and the blue side of Manchester. A third round win at home to Manchester City, and a fourth round victory win down at Old Trafford at the start of November. This will be the 175th meeting between the two in the history of the fixture. Chelsea haven't been beaten on the last 3 occasions, but Newcastle haven't won away at the Blues since May 2012. So tonight at Stamford Bridge, which will be the team to get to the League Cup semi-final? It's going to be very, very interesting. Both sides will definitely see this competition as a little bit of a distraction to bring some success. Both sides aren't doing amazingly in the league, some may say. But obviously with Newcastle, they've had the distraction of the Champions League. And for Chelsea, they've had no distractions. They've just been very poor in 10th position. 7 losses from 17 in the league for Chelsea, which just isn't good enough under new head coach Mauricio Pochettino. But it is the League Cup, it's a distraction, and it's a chance. Sorry about the noise. It's a chance to win some silverware. That's for sure. It's a chance for silverware. And Newcastle came ever so close last season to winning this competition, getting to the final against Manchester United and being defeated. Chelsea didn't get very far last season. They reached the third round after being beat by Manchester City at the Etihad, where they were also beaten in the FA Cup as well last season. So Chelsea will want to try and improve even more on last season. Obviously, they've improved vastly getting to the quarterfinals. Yes, they've had an easier run, you could say, with the likes of Wimbledon and Blackburn, but the fact they've all been at home so far, and again, it will stay that way, playing at home tonight against Newcastle. I think Chelsea will fancy it, and Newcastle's away form this season has been rather poor, to say the least. They've played 12 games away from home this season in all competitions, Newcastle, and they've only won twice away at Sheffield United on the 24th of September, then against Manchester United in the previous round on the 1st of November. And that will definitely be, that'll raise some alarm bells for Newcastle supporters, the fact they have been so poor on the road, and the fact that this game, can't end a draw. There is going to be a winner in this game, if that's through extra time or through penalty kicks. So I think that's definitely going to be in the back of Newcastle's minds, at the fact that they are away from home, and it is a place they've struggled to go around to different grounds and pick up results. Obviously, what ultimately got them knocked out of the Champions League. Obviously, drawing twice against PSG and AC Milan, then defeated against Borussia Dortmund at the Signal Iduna Park. But for Chelsea, this is something they've got to look to win. Like I say, no Europe this season, still 10th in the league, which is not quite good enough. They are 7 points off Newcastle as well, who are currently in 6th. But as I mentioned before, and they're just showing the goals actually from that game. The last time Newcastle won at Stamford Bridge was May 2012. You might remember that very, very famous Papi Cisse goal. You might remember the right-footed, outside the boot goal into the top right corner when Newcastle finished 5th that season under Alan Pardew back in 2012. But that's the last time they won here, May 2012. The last League Cup meeting between these two was back in September 2010. It was a 4-3 win for Newcastle that day at Stamford Bridge. How I'd love to see 7 goals tonight. That'd be fantastic. It was a last-minute winner in that one for Newcastle from Shola Amiobi in the 90th minute, and the Chelsea manager back in 2010, it was Carlo Ancelotti, and the manager for Newcastle was Chris Hughton. So how things can change in 13 years. Obviously, Ancelotti now at Real Madrid. I'm sure Chris Hughton's got an international job somewhere or working for a country in the football world. But we are just under 6 minutes away from kickoff at Stamford Bridge. The two other League Cup quarter-finals playing today have kicked off already. They kicked off at 1:15. We've got Everton against Fulham, which is still 0-0, and we've got League One Port Vale hosting Middlesbrough, and that is also still 0-0. We've obviously got Chelsea against Newcastle tonight, and then tomorrow, which is also being commentated on this channel, we've got Liverpool taking on West Ham. As both sets of players are in the tunnels, well, the Newcastle players are, with the Chelsea mascots awaiting to see their heroes in the flesh. But Eddie Howe, I think, would love to win this trophy, especially after the heartbreak of last season, coming into the final, reaching the final. But another thing as well for Eddie Howe, it's a milestone for him tonight. It is Eddie Howe's 100th game in charge of Newcastle United. He picked up his 50th win at the weekend against Fulham at St James's Park. He only picked up one win in his first 10. Obviously, it took a little bit of time to get Newcastle going when he joined, due to them really having quite a poor squad, in all honesty, back then. But he's obviously added to the squad. Brought a few players in this season. Just the one signing from the summer starting tonight, and that's Tino Livramento at left back. They've got a new signing also on the bench, and that's with Lewis Hall. More on him in a moment, as we await the Chelsea captain and the officials to get these players out on the pitch. And we're just under 4 minutes left to go until kick-off. I'll go through both starting 11s. And in goal for Chelsea, there's George Petrovic, who joined in the summer from New England in the MLS. He joined for £14 million. He played in the last 2 games for Chelsea due to the injury of Robert Sanchez. A back four which consists of 4 centre-halves. At right back is going to be Axel Disasi, who's got the 1 Chelsea goal so far this season on his debut against Liverpool. He's also played in every minute of the League Cup so far this season. Alongside him, another former Monaco player, and that's Benoit Badiashile, who's returning now to the starting 11s after recovering from a hamstring injury he picked up in May. He's got the 1 League Cup appearance so far this season in the last round against Blackburn, which he scored in. The other centre-back alongside him is going to be 39-year-old Thiago Silva, with left-back Levi Colwill, who made his England debut back in October against Australia. 2 holding midfielders of Moises Caicedo, who was signed for £150 million, and a returning Enzo Fernandez, who was on the bench at the weekend in their win against Sheffield United. Just in front of them is going to be Conor Gallagher, who captains the side tonight, making his 20th appearance in all competitions for the season. On the right-hand side is going to be Cole Palmer, who's got 6 goals in the Premier League this season for Chelsea, 2 in his last 3. On the left is going to be Raheem Sterling, who's got 10 goals in 20 previous appearances against tonight opposition, and leading the line up front is the man who scored at the weekend to make it 2-0. It's the Senegalese international Nicholas Jackson, who's making his 20th appearance as well, and he scored 8 goals so far, 7 of them in the Premier League, and his 1 goal in the League Cup came in the 3rd round win at home to Brighton. And that is the Chelsea starting 11. For Newcastle, they remained with Martin Dubravka in net, with an injured Nick Pope still out with a shoulder injury. Right back is going to be Emil Kraft, as Trippier drops to the bench for the 2nd game in a row. He was also on the bench at the weekend against Fulham. 2 centre-backs of Jamal Lascelles, and as 1 returns, 1 also gets injured, so Sven Botman's in tonight, making his first start since the 24th of September. He replaces Fabian Schär, who went off at the weekend with a suspected hamstring injury. At left-back is going to be former Chelsea man Tino Livramento, was a Chelsea fan growing up, and he was at the club for 12 years, and now he comes back to try and get into a League Cup semi-final with Newcastle. Midfield 3 of Lewis Miley, who continues his run in the team. He's 17 years of age, and he got his first goal for the senior team at the weekend, scoring the first goal in the 3-0 win against Fulham. The two other midfielders are going to be Bruno Guimaraes, who's making his 25th appearance of the season in all competitions, with Sean Longstaff alongside him, who made his 150th appearance in the last round against Manchester United as he captained the side in that game. And the front three is going to be Miguel Almiron on the right, who's featured in every game so far this season in all competitions for Newcastle. On the left is going to be Anthony Gordon, whose first ever Newcastle goal came here at Stamford Bridge on the last day of last season in a 1-1 draw, and leading the line, making his 100th appearance for the club, and that's going to be number 9. Callum Wilson, he's got 45 goals for Newcastle. He's got 4 in his first 6 in the Premier League, but he hasn't scored in the league since the 28th of October. And they are the two starting 11s for tonight's game. As we mentioned before, Newcastle have got horrid away form this season, 2 wins in 12 in all competitions, losing half of their games that they played away from home this season, losing away at Manchester City, Brighton, Bournemouth, Everton, Spurs and Dortmund. But this time it's different. It's the League Cup quarter-final. This is a chance to get it into the semi-finals. They made it to the final last season, Newcastle. Chelsea fell in the third round. Who will proceed tonight? It is Chelsea to kick off, kicking right to left. Newcastle left to right. And we've got Badiashile on the ball for Chelsea. Thiago Silva midway side his own half on the ball, looking forward to pass it. He'll play it long as he closed down by Callum Wilson, chest on by Jackson, kneed away by Lascelles, nodded down by Jackson into Enzo Fernandez. It's now Conor Gallagher in the centre circle, completing 1-2s here with Moises Caicedo. And he's back on halfway to Badiashile, forward and out wide left, and he finds Raheem Sterling, who tries to take on Emil Kraft here. Still 1-on-1 with the Swedish fullback. And Sterling goes back here into Conor Gallagher. It's now left back Levi Colwill. It's now Caicedo. Across to the right to Thiago Silva, who's travelled into the Newcastle half. Plays a ball through into the box to Jackson, who's come back from an offside position. And in the 18-yard area for Newcastle, they'll win the free kick. And it'll be taken by the Dutchman Sven Botman, who returned after missing 16 games in all competitions due to a knee injury he picked up in September. And it's his first start since September, and since Newcastle's 8-0 win away at Sheffield United. They've definitely missed him, but I do think Jamal Lascelles has come in and been pretty solid at the back for Newcastle, and it's just a little bit frustrating for Eddie Howe as Sven Botman returns. Fabian Schär goes out with an injury. Looks like a hamstring problem for Fabian Schär. As Anthony Gordon releases the ball there, but was caught late by Moises Caicedo in the Newcastle half, and the Newcastle number 10 will stay down, holding the back of his left leg. Did seem a bit of a late one from Moises Caicedo, the Ecuadorian, and he's going to be booked early here by Jared Gillett, the 37-year-old referee. Let's have a look, thrown into the path of Gordon. Yeah, scrape bar down the back of the leg. That's a nasty one, that, from Moises Caicedo, and he cannot complain with the early booking. Boots, the bottom of his boot scraped down the back of Gordon's leg. He definitely can't have complaints. Yeah, bit of a sore one that'll be for Anthony Gordon. It's an early booking for Caicedo. Like I say, Livramento threw it just into the space there where Gordon could latch onto it, and as he released it, a boot down the left leg stood showing, just right down the centre of the back of his leg. So if there was VAR tonight, they might have had a little bit of look at that. But there is no VAR, as Port Vale are down by 1-0. Middlesbrough lead 1-0 at Port Vale. As we're back underway, midway inside the Newcastle half, it's Sven Botman to drive forward away from Jackson, forward towards Longstaff. Ball cut out on the halfway line by Caicedo. Fernandez, first time pass forward, looking for Nicholas Jackson on the edge of the 18-yard box. But it's deflected away from him and collected by Martin Dubravka. Can't be giving the ball away there. It was a sloppy pass from Sven Botman, and Sean Longstaff was caught on his toes. But Newcastle survived the scare. As Newcastle have got 3 upcoming games against Luton, Forest and Liverpool in the league before facing their bitter rival Sunderland in the FA Cup. I think that's coming up on the 6th of January, which is going to be a tasty one. As on this near side, it's going to be thrown for Newcastle on the halfway line. Emil Kraft throwing it forward towards Lewis Miley. It goes under his foot, but runs through to Callum Wilson, who loses out to Conor Gallagher. But his heavy touch is intercepted by Bruno Guimaraes. And it's now Miguel Almiron playing a ball out to the left in the box. Gordon's got a bit of time here to set up the shot, which he takes, and it's deflected, and it loops over for a corner. Blocked there by Axel Disasi. But it was well worked there. Bruno Guimaraes picking it up well in the midfield away from Conor Gallagher. And Miguel Almiron on the right, switched out to the left to Gordon in the 18-yard area. His touch wasn't great, it kind of bounced up on him, but he was able to get a strike away. Yeah, bit of a poor touch, but he got his body over the ball and struck it nicely, but it was well blocked there by the French international defender, Axel Disasi. But it'll be a corner for Newcastle in the 4th minute. They're yet to test goalkeeper George Petrovic, as they'll put a gliding ball out to the far post. It goes all the way through. It's a shocking cross, but it will be kept in on the far side by Anthony Gordon, midway side the Chelsea half, who will look to try and recycle it into the box. He's put a loop ball into the far post, where it will be headed on by Jamal Lascelles to the edge of the box. Guimaraes plays out to the right to Almiron, returns it to Guimaraes, who's got the time to find a cross, which is deflected off Enzo Fernandez, and it'll be a throw-in the final third here for Newcastle United. If they're winning corners, the away side, they need to be putting in better crosses than that. Obviously, no Kieran Trippier starting tonight. And the only appearance Kieran Trippier's made in this competition this season was off the bench at Old Trafford in the last round, as Emil Kraft works it here to Lewis Miley from the throw-in, inside to Almiron. He's got Guimaraes with him, but he's been forced to go backwards here, Miguel Almiron. And instead of releasing the ball, he's tackled by Enzo Fernandez. And then Almiron fouls Fernandez as he tries to win the ball back, and it'll be a free kick on the Chelsea left here. Well won there by the number 8, Enzo Fernandez, who returns to the starting 11 after being on the bench at the weekend against Sheffield United. And he does have a goal in this competition this season. Enzo Fernandez in the 2nd round against Wimbledon, a game which they went 1-0 down in. Chelsea in the 19th minute, but then got a goal before half-time through Madueke. And then Enzo Fernandez got the winner in the 72nd minute. Chelsea play out from the back. Conor Gallagher on the edge of the box lets it run across his body, and he gets away from Lewis Miley. Great midfield play from Conor Gallagher. It's now Disasi on halfway on the far side. Ball down the line. It's a teasing ball through, and it'll be picked up by Nicholas Jackson in the box on the right-hand side. Gets an early shot in at the near post. Blocked by Botman. And it'll be a corner for Chelsea this time on the far side. Really good ball from Disasi down the right-hand side as Nicholas Jackson just peeled out to the wide area. Couple of step overs, then the shot, which was blocked by the left boot of Botman. And it'll be a corner kick here for the home side. Lively starts from both. Goalkeepers yet to be tested. As we're just passing the 6th minute, it'll be Enzo Fernandez with a right-footed outswinger. In it goes, it curls away to the edge of the box. It's Conor Gallagher, who's got loads of time to take a touch and shoots off the bar. It drops to Livramento's volley away, isn't great. Picked up by Enzo Fernandez, whose ball down the line towards the byline is overhit. Nicholas Jackson can't keep it in. But that is the first real attempt of the game, and it nearly ended in the goal. Poor corner, really, the way the outswinger went all the way through. It wasn't aimed towards Gallagher, just no one could quite head it forward. And he went right through to the edge of the box, and Gallagher took a nice touch in front of him to set it up. And as it bounced up, he caught it with a right-footed shot with the inside of his boot. And it was aiming towards the top right corner. A nice bit of curl on it as well. Went over Dubravka as he dived, and thankfully for the Slovakian goalkeeper, it crashed the crossbar. And it stays at 0-0 for Newcastle, as Conor Gallagher nearly scored his first goal of the season. As we return to play here with a ball towards Moises Caicedo on halfway. Gets away from Longstaff, but he's passed forward down the left-hand side. It's cut out by Emil Kraft. And it'll be a throw-in on the near side for Levi Colwill to take, as he throws it back into his own half here for Benoit Badiashile. He's got the 2 appearances for his country, France, but didn't make the World Cup squad. The Chelsea number 5, as it's Colwill again on halfway, down the left-hand side to Sterling, who needs to keep the ball moving as he's tackled by Almiron, and that'll be a throw-in for the home side once again, midway inside the Newcastle half, and it'll be taken by Sterling, quickly throwing it back into his own half here to Badiashile. And Gallagher on halfway, back to the 39-year-old Thiago Silva, who's making his debut this season in the League Cup. His 16 previous appearances this season have all come in the Premier League, with his 1 goal against Manchester City in the 4-4 draw back in mid-November. It's Thiago Silva still on the ball, being closed down by Callum Wilson, plays it to right back Disasi, who goes back into the 18-yard area to goalkeeper Petrovic, who takes a touch and he clears it with his right boot down the Chelsea right-hand side, but he's miscued it out for a throw-in. About 10 yards inside the Chelsea half, so Newcastle can enjoy a bit of possession in the opposition half as Guimaraes plays it back to Livramento from the throw-in. And back into the Newcastle half we go here with Sven Botman. Forward to Guimaraes. He's got a bit of time here to find a pass. He'll play it out to the right-hand side. Cut out by the head of Colwill. Played forward towards Sterling. Header met by Kraft. Helped forward by Miley. As far as Colwill, who finds Gallagher, who's tackled fairly by Miley, but his heavy touch is tackled by Badiashile. And then Moises Caicedo has been forced back towards his own goal here, and he plays to goalkeeper Petrovic. Out to the left to Caicedo, who drifted into a left-back area here. Colwill tries to turn, tackled by Almiron. Throw in for the home side. It's thrown down the line by Colwill into Gallagher. Loses out with a heavy touch, and it's now Kraft on halfway. Forward to Lewis Miley, the number 67, who got his first goal in professional football at the weekend in Newcastle's 3-0 win against 10-man Fulham. Raul Jimenez was sent off in the 22nd minute. If you've seen the challenge, it was quite the ridiculous one from the Mexican. Went absolutely flying, I think, until Sean Longstaff it was. Rightly given red card. Guimaraes in the centre circle. Plays out to the right-hand side here to Emil Kraft, who's getting forward from full-back. Lays it off to Almiron, midway side the Chelsea half. Driving towards the left-hand side. Plays it forward to Guimaraes. Back out to the right here to Emil Kraft, who will cross it into the 18-yard area. It drops in the box where it will be Axel Disasi to get there first. And he slams it away for a Newcastle throw-in towards the halfway line. Again, well worked by Bruno Guimaraes. Found Emil Kraft, whose cross nearly went through towards Longstaff, but his touch went behind him. And it allowed Axel Disasi to clear it away on the penalty spot. It's a throw-in for the away side. As it's Middlesbrough 2-0 up away at Port Vale. So it looks like Port Vale, the League One side's run into the League Cup, might be coming to an end tonight. As it could be Championship Middlesbrough heading into the semi-finals. As it's Chelsea on the edge of the 18-yard box with Disasi at right back. Finds Cole Palmer, who's getting his first few touches of the ball, it feels. Don't think I've said his name yet, and we're just over 10 minutes in. Now Petrovic, the goalkeeper. High ball out to the left looking for Colwill, who does beat Kraft to the header. And the header drops towards Sterling, but he's out-muscled by Lascelles, and Dubravka can clear for Newcastle. Straight to Colwill, who volleys forward to Lascelles. Can't quite find Sterling in the final third. And it's back with Dubravka in the 18-yard area. Again, another high ball forward. Look for Emil Kraft on the right-hand side. Chests it down nicely. Plays it inside to Miley, who brings it down well. Keeps it away from Enzo Fernandez. And plays it down the line, but straight to Colwill and not Almiron. And then Colwill's ball forward to Jackson is dispossessed, and it's Newcastle in possession with Longstaff. To Botman at the back, forward to Gordon, and then to Longstaff again. And it's now Lascelles, about 10 yards in front of the 18-yard area here for Newcastle. It's now Guimaraes in that holding midfield position, keeps it moving to Lascelles, who plays a ball forward towards halfway. Wilson gets there ahead of Caicedo. And it's now back with Guimaraes in the Newcastle half. Number 4, Sven Botman. Livramento. It's now Gordon inside the Chelsea half here. Getting his head up. He's got the simple pass to his left, and he does use that of Sean Longstaff, the number 36. Who scored twice against Southampton last season in the League Cup semi-final second leg to book Newcastle's place in the final. Sven Botman, midway side his own half here. Not being pressed here by Nicholas Jackson, so brings it forward and then switches it out to the right-hand side. And he tries to find Almiron in behind, but it's well cut out by Colwill. Throwing for Newcastle. Inside the Chelsea half, and it's with number 17, Emil Kraft, who throws it into Guimaraes. Can't get the touch away from Enzo Fernandez. Forward to Nicholas Jackson. Back into Enzo Fernandez in the left wing position. Goes to his right here to Moises Caicedo. And it's now back with Benoit Badiashile at the back four for Chelsea. Now it's going to cross to Thiago Silva, who won 25 trophies altogether in his 8-year stint at PSG. Obviously won quite a few here at Chelsea as well, in the likes of the Champions League and the Club World Cup. Sterling, he drifted out to the right-hand side, completes a 1-2 with Cole Palmer, who's getting away on the Chelsea rights, forward towards the byline to Nicholas Jackson, back out to the right to Cole Palmer. Inside it goes to Caicedo, 22 yards from goal. Plays a pass to his left to Gallagher and then gets the return to Caicedo. Palmer. Got plenty of Newcastle bodies behind the ball. I think 10 are behind the ball currently as they play out to the left-hand side here to Fernandez. Centre of the pitch is Gallagher. Switch out to the right to Disasi. It's a high ball and he brings it down well. He's 1-on-1 with Livramento. Tries to take on the outside of the full-back as he crosses it. Livramento blocks with a slide challenge. And that'll be another corner for the home side. Won by Disasi. getting forward from the right full-back position, trying to work across in the box, but Livramento, the boyhood Chelsea fan, had other ideas and blocked out to give Chelsea the corner. The last corner Chelsea had, it fell to the edge of the box where Conor Gallagher hit the crossbar. Can they try and work another dangerous opportunity from this one? It'll be another outswinger on the far side from the right boot of Enzo Fernandez. He's got plenty of bodies in there, tall bodies as well. As he goes short instead to Raheem Sterling, who will then cross it himself towards Colwill. Header won at the near post by Lewis Miley. And it'll run through for a corner. I think it came off the corner flag. So it'll be right next to the corner flag, this throw-in. Good defending at the near post by number 67, Lewis Miley, who has played at under 19s level for England, despite being at the age of 17. It's Disarcy with the throw-in. Finds Sterling. Back to Disarcy. 10-yard pass backwards to Conor Gallagher. Still on this Chelsea right-hand side. He goes back once more to Badiashile. A nice ball forward into Cole Palmer. Getting between the lines here. And then playing it down the line. Finds Disarcy, who will keep it in. And he'll cross it deep. And it's no one's there other than Colwill on the edge of the box. I think he was hoping for a more of an attacking option at the far post as Colwill's pass backwards. Doesn't find Caicedo. Callum Wilson bursting away, running at Thiago Silva. Gets beyond the Brazilian but can't get away from Badiashile. Oh, yes, he can. Callum Wilson goes through and slots it into the left-hand side of the goal. And Newcastle on the counter. Lead at Stamford Bridge. It's a right mess up at the back between Thiago Silva and Benoit Badiashile. Callum Wilson shouldn't have got him behind, but he did, and he finished. And on the 15th minute, it's Chelsea Newcastle 1, and it's a gift for Wilson. It fell to him as Colwill tried to find Caicedo in the midfield, but he got away from the Ecuadorian, and then Callum Wilson just ran at Thiago Silva, not really knowing what was his next move because he didn't have many players up there with him, so he just kept running forward, and then he got beyond Thiago Silva, and then Badiashile was there covering. And as Badiashile tried to deal with it in the 18-yard area, he just got the ball stuck under his feet. He just couldn't quite manoeuvre it away. And Callum Wilson had continued to put him under pressure. And it fell to him, and an outside of the boot finish into the left-hand side of the goal. It's a really cultured finish from Newcastle's number 9. It's a really bad error from Badiashile. But Newcastle lead at Stamford Bridge. It's Chelsea 0, Newcastle 1. What an error from Badiashile. And from the replays, it looks like he's tried to dribble it out towards the Chelsea left-hand side. But as he took a touch with his left, go across his body, it's come off his right foot, which is obviously going forward. So he's touched out. So he's running forward. He tries to go to his left. And as he takes the touch with one foot, it comes off the other, back into the path of Wilson, who was then one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And he very nicely placed the ball into the Chelsea goal with the outside of his right boot. Like I say, a bit of a gift, but you can't say Callum Wilson didn't work for it. He definitely put the effort in. And it's 1-0. Poor from Badiashile. Just getting the ball stuck within his feet. Couldn't move it away from goal. And Callum Wilson punished him. As Caicedo dinks it in towards the 18-yard area looking for Cole Palmer. Dubravka quickly off his line to collect the ball. And it's now in the left-back area with Livramento. Down the line to Anthony Gordon. Lays it back off to Livramento. Who's going forward to the halfway line here to Gordon. He's got Disarcy on his back and he's tackled by the Frenchman who goes inside to Gallagher. Just inside the Chelsea half. He passes the halfway line, then goes across here to Badiashile, who gave away the ball for the goal. For Callum Wilson, who gets his 8th of the season. The other 7 coming in the Premier League, and his last goals was a brace away from home against Wolves on the 28th of October. So he's not scored for a bit of time, Callum Wilson, so he would have enjoyed that one on his 100th appearance for Newcastle. As on halfway line, it's with Thiago Silva, who, to be fair, didn't put himself in glory. Not being able to clear the ball away from Callum Wilson, who he was running at originally, before then trying to get beyond Badiashile. It looked like he'd done the work, Badiashile, covering Thiago Silva in case he did get taken on. But yeah, just could not get it cleared. And it's Chelsea who are enjoying the possession since the restart. And it's in the midfield with Caicedo, who did lose the ball to start the attack. A pass he tried to control from Levi Colwill. Well, these two sides have met this season already, and it was a 4-1 thumping from Newcastle at St James's Park. Isak gave Newcastle lead early on. Sterling equalised on the 23rd minute, and then 3 second-half goals gave Newcastle the win, and they're going to try and get a second here. Callum Wilson out to the left to Gordon. Can't get beyond Thiago Silva on the edge of the 18-yard box. Good defending from the veteran. And it'll be Chelsea on the ball inside their own half, try to break away from the midfield. But Anthony Gordon not quite on it tonight, as of yet. But he has definitely been Newcastle's best player this season, Anthony Gordon, with the 6 goals in the Premier League. Just the 1 start in the League Cup at Old Trafford in the 3-0 win in the previous round, where they went 2-0 up at half-time. Almiron in the 26th minute and Lewis Hall in the 36th. As Petrovic, the Chelsea goalkeeper, sends it long and out to the left looking for Sterling. Headed away by Kraft. Back into the Chelsea half here with Colwill. Forward towards Sterling. Cut out by Kraft. Back with Colwill. Inside to Gallagher. Caicedo on halfway. He's got options out to his left and he finds Sterling, who turns away from Almiron and goes inside here to Caicedo. About 10 yards inside the Newcastle half. Edge of the centre circle is Conor Gallagher. Back into Caicedo again. All Newcastle players currently behind the ball as it's Thiago Silva on the halfway line. We're just over 20 minutes in. Newcastle lead away at Stamford Bridge. Trying to rectify their poor away form. Newcastle, as they haven't won away from home since the last round of the League Cup against Manchester United on the 1st of November. Their only Premier League win away from home was just an 8-0 win against Sheffield United in late September. Is when Chelsea have the ball, they do like to knock it around, but they just struggle to do anything with it, anything dangerous. Still with Thiago Silva on halfway, receives the ball from Fernandes, goes furthest right, and that's Disasi, midway inside the Newcastle half. He drives forward into the final third. Disasi, low ball towards the edge of the box. It drops to Cole Palmer as it deflects off Guimaraes. Caicedo to the left to Colwill, 25 yards from goal, dribbles forward away from Almiron, shifts it out to the left towards Sterling. It's a heavy one, sends him out wide towards the byline. 1-on-1 with Kraft. He ends up going backwards here, Sterling to Caicedo. Forward into the box here. Enzo Fernandez tries to flick it through towards Jackson. Cut out by Lascelles. Poked away from by the Newcastle captain, but only as far as Caicedo. So Chelsea continue to try and put as much pressure on this Newcastle defence as possible. Sterling's furthest left, and he receives the ball here. He's got everything to his right. Goes inside to Caicedo. Palmer. Away from Guimaraes, tackled by Miley. Forward now to Gordon. Once more to Wilson. Away from Caicedo. Into the space for Livramento. He's met by a strong challenge from Thiago Silva on halfway. And the loose ball will drop to Botman at left back, who loses it to Cole Palmer. Kept in by the Chelsea winger. Inside to Fernandes. Edge of the box. Gets away from Guimaraes. Hooks it through looking for Jackson. It deflects to him as he plays it out wide right to Palmer. Still the chance on in the final third. Palmer on his left foot. Trying to get himself away from Lascelles as he takes the strike at the edge of the box towards the near post, but it's well saved by Martin Dubravka. As Cole Palmer trying to work his magic with that left foot. But it was the chance towards Jackson, which nearly got Chelsea through. Enzo Fernandez ball towards Jackson in the box, just lost out in the end. His work to Palmer. Just the 1 goal for Cole Palmer in this competition. It was for Manchester City against Wickham in one of the early rounds. As Guimaraes loses out to Fernandes. High up the pitch. Into the 18-yard box with Sterling. On the left-hand side. Going around the outside of Kraft and trying to work across. But it deflects off the Swedish fullback. And it's going to be a corner on the near side for Chelsea. Good defending so far from Emil Kraft on Raheem Sterling. Both at the age of 29. It's definitely been Chelsea dominating the possession in this game, more so since they've gone 1-0 down, but still haven't tested Martin Dubravka properly. I know we just had the Cole Palmer strike, but a bit of a routine save for the Slovakian. As Cole Palmer goes short from the corner, gets the return from Sterling, dinks it into the box, straight into the hands of Dubravka in the 6-yard area. And in his full pink kit, Dubravka holds onto the ball here for the away side. Making his 4th appearance in the League Cup, Martin Dubravka. 2 of them for Manchester United last season. And then his other one before tonight came against Manchester United at Old Trafford. As Longstaff loses it in the midfield to Caicedo. Gallagher away from Miley. And he drives forward into the Newcastle half. Gallagher got Palmer to his right, and he plays it to the former Manchester City man. Keeps it in on the far side. Plays it inside to Gallagher. Turns away from Gordon towards the byline. He can keep it in and play it back to Palmer. Good play from Gallagher. To the edge of the box to Caicedo. First time pass forward. Looking for Disasi in the box. Cut out by Longstaff. Now played up to Wilson, who's not got much to aim for, but he does play it out to the right to Almiron on halfway, who's tackled really well by Colwill, and fairly as well, as the former Brighton loanee will lay it off to Sterling midway side the Newcastle half. And we've got Chelsea possession again in the centre circle here with Caicedo. Yeah, they're just showing the possession actually since the Wilson goal, and it's 82% of the ball for Chelsea since that goal from Callum Wilson in the 15th minute. Haven't won, Chelsea in the last 3 games against Newcastle. Losing 2 in a row at St James's Park. Obviously 4-1 this season. Lost 1-0 last season due to a Joe Willock strike back in November of last year when Graham Potter was in charge. And then drew on the last day of last season at Stamford Bridge 1-1. Kieran Trippier with an own goal before Anthony Gordon's equaliser. Sorry, other way round. Gordon took the lead for Newcastle, then Trippier got the equaliser with the own goal. So it's still Chelsea on the ball, on the halfway line. To Caicedo, back into Badiashile. Chelsea's number 5, making his second appearance against Newcastle. His other appearance was in that 4-1 defeat earlier on this season. Colwill at left back in the Newcastle half. Which is right to Caicedo, who's obviously joined this summer with a £115 million price tag on his shoulders. A former Brighton man who signed an 8-year contract here at Chelsea till 2031. He works out to Colwill, getting forward from left back, midway side the Newcastle half. He's not got many options with him. Goes to his right to Caicedo again. Forward to Gallagher, about 30 so yards from goal. Shifts it out to the right hand side here to Thiago Silva. Furthest right to Disasi, but he goes forward to Palmer, who then tries to work out to the right to Disasi, but the pass is short and it's cut out by Tino Livramento. Now Guimaraes in the midfield, shrugged to the ground there by Raheem Sterling, and it's a free kick for Newcastle in the left back area, inside their own half. As on his 100th appearance, Callum Wilson scored the goal. Colwill's pass just went under the foot of Caicedo, and it dropped to Wilson on halfway, who drove forward, got beyond Thiago Silva, but then a covering Badiashile looked like he'd got the ball back for Chelsea, but got the ball stuck under his feet, couldn't quite get it away from goal, and it led Callum Wilson to have a chance on his own in the 18-yard area, and he took it really well with an outside of the right boot finish, getting beyond George Petrovic, who's just the age of 24, Chelsea goalkeeper. Signed for £14 million, which was a record fee for New England, the club he was signed from in the MLS. As it is, Newcastle on the ball with Anthony Gordon driving inside from the left wing, trying to play it through towards Wilson, cut out by Badiashile. Good defending from the former Monaco player. As he has the ball now, received from Caicedo, and he plays it forward himself towards Enzo Fernandez on halfway. Just about keeps the ball from Lewis Miley and sends a high ball forward, looking in behind for Nicholas Jackson, headed away out to the right hand side by Lascelles. Kraft slips, so it drops through to Raheem Sterling, who's running at Kraft. 1-2 with Caicedo in the box. Sterling, right footed shots across goal. Did it take a little nick of a deflection? Don't think it did. Sterling's not complaining. And Chelsea come close again. Hit the bar with Conor Gallagher at 0-0. And Sterling, really progressive run forward with a nice 1-2 with Caicedo. And as he tried to find the far corner, it was a low strike. It was nearly blocked by Lascelles. It didn't take a touch off the centre half, and it didn't take a touch off Dubravka, and it was just about a yard or so wide from Chelsea's number 7. It wasn't a bad attempt from the former Manchester City and Liverpool winger. So that's definitely the closest they've come since the goal. But it still remains 1-0 Newcastle. Long ball forward by Dubravka, brought down beautifully by Callum Wilson, but he loses out to Gallagher in the midfield. Now passing the halfway line, he drifts out to the Chelsea right. Tries a 1-2 with Cole Palmer, and he finishes it really well. Gallagher in the box on the right-hand side. The pullback needs to be correct, and it is correct. Sterling, touch, strikes it. What a block from Guimaraes. He celebrates in front of the Newcastle supporters. That's an absolutely fantastic block as Almiron tries to get away on the Newcastle right, but he's tackled by Colwill fairly, says the referee. As is Badiashile, forward from centre half, out to the left to Nicholas Jackson. in a left wing position, and Sterling just taking up a striker position at the minute. Sterling coming close again. Great pullback from Gallagher. And Sterling coming so close, but it was a heroic block by Bruno Guimaraes in the 6-yard box for the away side. As it's Disasi right back on halfway. Forward to Palmer on the far side. Finds Conor Gallagher again. Got options left and right. Goes out to the left. Miscue pass towards Sterling. Cleared by Kraft, but it's a bad volley away, really. Picked back up by an unmarked Conor Gallagher on halfway. And it's Chelsea to come again at the away side. As it is 1-0 to Fulham away at Goodison Park. It's a Michael Keane own goal before half-time. So Middlesbrough lead Port Vale 2-0. And Fulham are 1-up at Goodison Park against Everton. As Conor Gallagher out to the left to Enzo Fernandez. Not quite in the final third as of yet. They are now with a pass forward down the line to Raheem Sterling. Who's one-on-one with Almer on here. Plays it back into Enzo Fernandez. Here's Colwell. Across to Badiashile as they're going to try the right-hand side now, Chelsea, with Thiago Silva. Everything to his left, and that's Axel Disasi. He just goes backwards instead to Thiago Silva. Caicedo. Colwell. All Newcastle players behind the ball as they shift it out to the left-hand side to Raheem Sterling again. Doubled up there, Raheem Sterling, as he's got Kraft and Almer on to try and take on. So goes backwards to Caicedo. Just to keep the possession ticking here for Chelsea as they want an equaliser before half-time. That would be the dream scenario for Maurizio Pochettino, who did reach the final of this competition back in 2015 with Spurs, where he was beaten by Chelsea on that day. And he also reached the semi-finals in 2019, where he was defeated by Chelsea over 2 legs. As it looks like Armando Broja is going to be coming on for Chelsea. So is one of the attacking players feeling a little injury here? I'm not quite sure. Just saw it on the bottom of the screen there. As on this near side, it's Sterling again. Can't quite take on Emil Kraft. We're throwing deep into the Newcastle half, and it is going to be a Chelsea change here. Not quite sure what the problem is. It's Enzo Fernandez. He was on the bench at the weekend. He came on against Sheffield United in the second half. And the Argentine from Benfica is replaced here by a striker, and that's Armando Broja. And bad news for Newcastle, as I think it's Bruno Guimaraes is the man down for them. I think he's going to be helped back to his feet here by Jamal Lascelles, as they're going to show a replay of that block. It was a good cutback from Gallagher. It found Sterling on the penalty spot. He took a touch and then struck it. Was Dubravka going to save it? Possibly. But Bruno Guimaraes put his body on the line first. And then Kraft cleared. But not quite sure what the issue is with Enzo Fernandez. Like I say, he was on the bench at the weekend and came on. He started tonight, but he just can't quite continue. Like I say, don't quite know what the issue is, but he's been replaced with an attacking change. Armando Broja has come on, and he's going to be found here on the right-hand side. No, he won't. Just goes out of play for a goal kick. Can't quite be kept in. So Armando Broja comes off the bench. The Albanian striker, who's 2 appearances in the League Cup this season now, have both come off the bench against Premier League opposition. Came off the bench against Brighton. And now off the bench against Newcastle. But try and find out a bit more on that Enzo Fernandez substitute. See if it is an injury or maybe it's tactical. I'm not too sure. It's Dubravka from that goal kick. Sends it into the Chelsea half towards Anthony Gordon. Chested down by Disasi to Caicedo. Now on to Sterling on halfway. He's drifted out to the right-hand side. Gets the ball forward and that wide left to Jackson. Back inside to Sterling. In the final third. Palmer. Sterling in the box. What football this is. Sterling goes down in the box and the referee waves it away. Challenge from Lascelles. Cleared for Newcastle to Almiron, who's deep inside his own half. He has to go backwards here to Kraft. He's trying to turn and clear, and he is turning and he is clearing, but it's straight to Conor Gallagher, who goes across the box to find Sterling on the edge. Turns forward, loops it into the box where it's headed away by Livramento into his own path, where in a right-back area he can clear it long up towards halfway, towards Callum Wilson, who can't quite beat Badiashile to the ball, but I think there was a foul there. by Callum Wilson. It's a free kick for Chelsea taken quickly, and we've already got the ball here on halfway with Moises Caicedo. Now across to the right to Thiago Silva, who's making his 4th appearance in the League Cup, one of those 4 in the final in 2022, where Chelsea were beaten on penalties by Liverpool. You might remember the Kepa Arrizabalaga penalty, skying over the crossbar into the stands where the Liverpool supporters celebrated the League Cup victory. But Chelsea do have 5 League Cups in their history, the last one in 2015 when they beat a Mauricio Pochettino Spurs side. Still with Chelsea, dominating the possession of the Newcastle half, but the defensive work that Newcastle are doing, it's something they're happy to do. They're quite settled at the minute in their shape. There's Nicholas Jackson, just about moves it on towards Conor Gallagher, who's tackled by Guimaraes, but the loose ball drops to halfway to Badiashile. Now out wide left to Colwill, who's been forced back towards his own goal here into the 18-yard area with Petrovic after being pressed from behind by Almiron. It's now Colwill. Forward to Badiashile. Inside looking for Colwill. Deflects to Almiron on the edge of the box. Can't get away from Gallagher, but his slide tackle goes to Guimaraes. But as Gallagher tackled and poked it away, I think he was just caught by Almiron. That'll be a free kick on the edge of the box for Chelsea. Getting away with that there, Badiashile. Poor ball inside. Looking for Levi Colwill. Just going to show this replay of Sterling going down in the box for a penalty. He felt the slightest bit of contact on his face and went down. It's pretty poor from Sterling. Probably could have stayed on his feet. Free kick for Chelsea in a left-back position. And here is the left-back Colwill. Badiashile forward to Jackson. Out to the left to Colwill, who keeps it in. And it's forward to Broja, the substitute. And then out wide left to Colwill. And then somehow he gets it out of play. Don't know how he's managed that. Broja with a simple 10-yard pass getting it wrong, but the possession's been won back by Caicedo, tackling Newcastle's right winger, Miguel Almiron. It's now Thiago Silva working out to the right to Sterling, who swapped wigs for now. Tries a 1-2 with Palmer, who puts it into the space for Sterling, who will chase it, but can't get there ahead of Botman. And it's now goalkeeper Dubravka clearing it out to the Newcastle left, way beyond Gordon. Throwing for Chelsea on halfway on the far side. Badiashile. Back to the goalkeeper, Djordje Petrovic, who does represent Serbia at international level. Made his debut in January 2021. Wasn't involved, though, in the World Cup squad for Serbia. As it's now Badiashile forward to Jackson on halfway. Conor Gallagher in the centre circle. Out wide right looking for Sterling. Cut out short, though, by Livramento, who drives into the Chelsea half. Down the Newcastle left. He's got Sterling following him, but he'll still run forward here, Livramento. And eventually plays it back here into Gordon. Then inside to Bruno Guimaraes. Miley back into the Newcastle half to keep possession with Lascelles. Out to the right to Kraft. Forward to Almiron. Passes it to his left to Guimaraes. Switch out to the left, finds Gordon in a load of room in the final third. Brings it down well. On the edge of the box, cutting onto his right foot, tackled really strongly with a slide tackle from Gallagher. Falls straight through to Cole Palmer, who's in the Newcastle half. The counter-attack's on. He's got Sterling to his right. Forward and through Broja, who was offside as he dinks it over Dubravka into the Newcastle goal. He wags the finger, Armando Broja, but I'm pretty sure he was offside. He looked it from the camera angles we were seeing. Good tackle from Gallagher on the edge of the 18-yard box, and the ball dropped to Palmer, who drove forward. And yeah, he's well offside. Goes too early there, the Albanian Armando Broja, the substitute. Nice little dink on the angle, on the right side of the box. Beyond mine, Dubravka, but went way too early there, Armando Broja. And it remains 1-0 Newcastle. Obviously made his name in the Premier League, Armando Broja, through his loan spell at Southampton a couple of seasons ago, where he got 6 Premier League goals in 32. But had a pretty disjointed campaign last time out due to pricking up an injury, which saw him out for a while. As Badiashile's clearance doesn't go very far. Cut out by Kraft, and it'll be a throw in for Chelsea. Can't quite keep it in there. Emil Kraft in the final third for Newcastle. And here it is, quite a stacked missing list for Chelsea. Goalkeeper Robert Sanchez out, Ben Chilwell, Reece James as well. Nicholas Jackson gets away from Emil Kraft. He comes out to the right-hand side here. Nicholas Jackson. And he finds Sterling. Slows it down and goes back here to Disasi. It's now Thiago Silva into Cole Palmer. Back to Thiago Silva on the halfway line. Gallagher. Very, very strong defending so far from Newcastle, leaving very little spaces for Chelsea to work with to try and get in behind Eddie Howe's defence. It's still Thiago Silva, forward and out to the right to Sterling. Disasi, first time passing into the channel, looking for Sterling. Livramento will go over on the challenge of Raheem Sterling. And the free kick will go against the former City man. Free kick in the left-back position for Newcastle. Ball play through from Disasi, and I think Sterling was just pulling at Livramento as he tried to win the ball there for Newcastle. And hopefully for Newcastle, this isn't another injury worry, because it's currently Emil Kraft down. Newcastle have already got 9 out injured. Pope, Target, Anderson, Willock, Murphy, Barnes, Isak, Joelinton and Shea. And then obviously 10 out if you include Sandro Tonali with that betting ban. They don't want another one, and that's Emil Kraft. They have a very, very good replacement, though, on the bench for him if he is to come off, and that's their number 2, Kieran Trippier. He was just going out to have a little jog and a warm-up. Kieran Trippier, the former Spurs man. And Dan Burn will go with him. I think Emil Kraft's okay as we're going to get this free kick taken from Dubravka. Headed backwards by Thiago Silva, but it does drop to Levi Colwill, who loses out here to Longstaff. Wilson through into the box at Almiron, onto his left foot, squares it, edge of the box, Guimaraes strikes. It's a great block from Levi Colwill. It will drop to Nicholas Jackson, whose heavy touch falls into the path of Longstaff. Almiron trying to find the run through for Newcastle, but he wins it back at Almiron from Colwill. Longstaff makes the run, but he'll find Kraft instead. He'll square it in the 6-yard box, and it's met by Thiago Silva. Cleared out for a throw-in on the near side. Just didn't deal with it very well there, Levi Colwill, as clearly Emil Kraft is okay to continue for now. He was bombing down that right-hand side with the cut back into the 6-yard area, which was dealt with by Thiago Silva. So he did have the shot there from Guimaraes, blocked by Colwill. Thrown in the final third for Newcastle. Almiron lays it back off into Kraft. Back to Almiron again. Got a few bodies in the box, not many. Kraft again. Longstaff. Kraft. Longstaff. Can't find Kraft again. Won by Colwill. Roulettes and plays it to Gallagher, who kicks it off Kraft, and that'll be a throw-in for Chelsea. Well won there to alleviate the pressure a little bit there by Colwill, as there was multiple 1-2s there completed by Kraft and Longstaff, as Caicedo keeps it in to Colwill. Being pressured by Longstaff, but he plays it down the line towards Caicedo. Last touch off a Newcastle man. Thrown for the home side. As every away side is currently winning in the League Cup tonight. Fulham away at Everton. Middlesbrough 2-0 up away at Port Vale. And obviously here we've got Newcastle winning 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. As on the halfway line, on the far side, it's Raheem Sterling. Finds Cole Palmer. Midway inside the Newcastle half, Cole Palmer curls the ball out to the left and finds Colwill. Browy's coming out wide to offer support, but he goes to his right to Caicedo instead. Halfway line is Badiashile forward to Caicedo. It's a misplaced pass. The counter-attack's on. Guimaraes needs to get the pass right. He can't find Wilson. Well, he can, but his touch was really poor. Gave it away. And it's now with Badiashile in the 18-yard area. Nice ball forward into Colwill, who passes the halfway line. He's got Guimaraes following behind, but he keeps it away from the Brazilian. He finds Broja in a left wing position. He gets away from Guimaraes. Great bit of skill from Broja. Ball to his right into Caicedo. On once more to Palmer. Onto his left foot. 1-2 with Caicedo. Cole Palmer on the edge. Through the legs of Lascelles. Now with Broja. Forced to go backwards there to Colwill. It's now Palmer in a left wing position. Goes across to Caicedo. Dinked ball out to the right to Sterling. 1-on-1 with Livramento. Can he get around the outside? He can. He can work the cross as well. Towards Cole Palmer. Deflects to Broja. Lays it off to Conor Gallagher, who can work a strike, but it's blocked by Botman and cleared by the Dutchman. Up towards halfway, where it'll be collected without any pressure from Benoit Badiashile. Not a great attempt from Conor Gallagher to try to get it from under his feet. Well dealt with by Sven Botman. It's Disarcy on the right, midway side the Newcastle half. Goes into Cole Palmer on the inside. And then back into the centre circle with Badiashile. Forward first time to Gallagher. Palmer. Forward to Sterling. Edge of the box. Plays it across into the box for Jackson, who works the strike, which deflects out for a corner on the far side. Couldn't quite be kept in by Martin Dubravka to avoid the corner, but it was good work from Sterling to find Jackson, who eventually worked his space for a shot. Blocked off by Badiashile. By... I think it was Guimaraes who blocked. And with 3 minutes added on time, Chelsea have got a corner. On the far side, it'll be a left-footed in-swinger from Palmer to the near post. Header won by Longstaff. Straight back to Cole Palmer, the taker, who lifts it back into the far post, where is a header on by Disarcy and loops over the crossbar. That'll be a goal kick for the away side, who looks like they're going to be taking their 1-0 lead into half-time. Given the lead in the 16th minute by Callum Wilson, who scored his first League Cup goal for Newcastle on his 100th appearance for the club since joining in September 2020 from Bournemouth for £20 million. Up towards halfway, Longstaff prods it on, looking for Callum Wilson, who will not get away from Badiashile. Good defending in the end from the Frenchman. His clearance isn't great though. Kraft takes it on and is brought down by Conor Gallagher, but not enough for a free kick. And that'll be a throw-in for Chelsea. Didn't enjoy the last trip to the capital, Newcastle, losing 4-1 to Tottenham as Caicedo just about moves it away from Lewis Miley before being brought down by the young 17-year-old. Disarcy. Palmer just inside his own half, goes back to Disarcy. Chelsea to enjoy possession inside their own half. 50% win record for Chelsea at home this season. 6 wins in 12 games with 3 losses. But all three of their League Cup wins this season have come at home to Wimbledon, Brighton and Blackburn, as Colwill takes a heavy touch, and as he tries to reclaim possession, it looks like he may have just caught Emil Kraft there. Emil Kraft stays down, holding the right leg. Let's have a look here. Colwill brought the ball down. It was a bit of a heavy one. He chased it. Yeah, Emil Kraft came in with a sliding challenge, and Colwill went in on the ground, and Kraft got there first, and as Colwill was trying to take the touch, obviously instead of taking a touch on the ball had gone, so he touched the man instead, or with the studs, and that will be a painful one here for Emil Kraft. It looks like he's getting a bit of grief here from Nicholas Jackson, but I don't think the Chelsea striker knows that would have actually caused a bit of pain there, really. Studs on the right leg of Emil Kraft. As the Swedish international will be getting back to his feet. Suffered a long ACL injury, Emil Kraft, last season. Was out from August last year till October. Returned in that game against Manchester United in the League Cup in that 3-0 win, playing at centre-half alongside Paul Dummett. And he is back representing his country again, which is great to see. Made 2 appearances for Sweden in November, in the November internationals. So we played the 3 minutes of add-on time, but I think we'll play a bit extra after that stoppage from Emil Kraft being down. It's Chelsea on the ball on halfway with Thiago Silva. Diagonal switch out to the left into the box to find Armando Broja on halfway. On the edge of the 6-yard box, he struck it, didn't catch it. Easy catch for Dubravka. But I think the flag was up on Armando Broja, who's been caught offside twice now. Just needs to watch his line and hold it. And it does look like he just went a bit early there as he made his run into the 18-yard box. The finish wasn't great, though. He caught it well. He just didn't add the power to it. He just almost placed it instead. And it was an easy save for Dubravka, but he wouldn't have stood anyway. Caught offside there by the assistant referee on that far side, James Mainwaring. Long ball out to the left of Newcastle, headed on by Callum Wilson, looking for Gordon. Dealt with by Thiago Silva to his goalkeeper Petrovic. Out to the right to Disasi, lays it off to Silva, who takes a touch and clips it down the right-hand side. Brought down by Sterling. And really well held by Sterling to bring in Disasi, who on halfway is brought down there by Lewis Miley, but there won't be a free kick or anything done towards that foul or that challenge because the referee's blown for half-time. And at Stamford Bridge here in the League Cup quarter-final, it is Chelsea 0, Newcastle 1. The away team lead by a goal to 0 after a goal scored in the 16th minute by Callum Wilson on his 100th appearance for the club. It's been a game that's been heavily played in the Newcastle half. A lot of possession for Chelsea, 77% altogether, but they've only conjured 8 shots with the one on target. The first big chance of the game went into Chelsea. Conor Gallagher hitting the bar after receiving the ball from a corner, sitting on the edge of the box, curled it top right corner. That's where it was aiming for, but it crashed off the crossbar. And that was the first big chance of the game, and the first goal and the only goal came through Callum Wilson. Passed back by Colwill towards Caicedo. It went under the foot of the Ecuadorian. It was picked up on halfway by Wilson, who ran at Thiago Silva, got away from the Brazilian, and it looked like he was just beaten to the ball there by Badiashile, who lost the possession himself in his own box. Tried to go out to the left-hand side, but instead took the touch towards his own goal, losing track of the ball. And it fell straight through to Callum Wilson in the 18-yard area, who with the outside of his right boot slotted it into the left corner of the goal to score his 46th Newcastle goal. It's his first goal since his brace against Wolves on the 28th of October in the Premier League. And since then it's been all Chelsea still with the possession. Just not quite being able to really test Martin Dubravka in the Newcastle goal. And at half-time at Stamford Bridge in this League Cup quarter-final, it's Chelsea 0, Newcastle 1. It's a horrid record for Newcastle away from home this season. Just the 2 wins in 12 in all competitions. But they are seeing an opportunity here to get to a League Cup semi-final. Like I say, they've not done much going forward themselves at Newcastle. Just the 3 shots and the 1 on target. And that 1 on target was put in by Callum Wilson, who gets his first goal in this competition for Newcastle. And it's his second goal at Stamford Bridge. Scored in a 3-0 away win for Bournemouth back in January 2018 under Eddie Howe, and he scored at this stadium once again. And the team who reached the final last season are taking a step forward to the semi-finals this season. And in the other League Cup games, which have kicked off for the second half as they started 15 minutes earlier, it is still Everton 0, Fulham 1. Michael Keane own goal there to give Fulham the lead, and then Port Vale are trailing at home 2-0 to Middlesbrough. Johnny Howson and Morgan Rogers with the goals for Michael Carrick's side. So it looks like the League One team is going to have their League Cup dream ended tonight. Been a fantastic run though for Port Vale, who had to beat the likes of League Two Mansfield in the round of 16. They also beat Sutton United in the third round and Crewe Alexandra in the second round and Fleetwood in the first. So a lot of lower league opposition, but you've got to beat what's put in front of you. And Port Vale have been doing that in this competition, but obviously just maybe a opposition too far in the likes of Middlesbrough. But it is interesting how every away team are winning so far tonight. Fulham away at Goodison, Middlesbrough at Vale Park, and then Newcastle tonight at Stamford Bridge. But we are commentating on the other quarter-final in this competition where Liverpool will welcome West Ham. That's tomorrow. The next commentary after that is on Thursday, where we're commentating on Crystal Palace against Brighton. And the final commentary before Christmas is on the 23rd of December, this coming Saturday. And we are looking at Serie A And we're going to look at Jose Mourinho's Roma as they take on Napoli. So 3 more commentaries coming up this week. And then obviously we've got commentaries coming up after Christmas. And some of the commentaries that are coming up after Christmas, we have got... On Boxing Day, we've got Preston against Leeds. On the 27th, we've got Brentford against Wolves. On the 30th, we've got Celtic against Rangers. And the last commentary before New Year is on New Year's Eve, and that is Fulham taking on Arsenal. So they're the upcoming commentaries to finish off 2023. And I'm going to just leave for half-time, get myself refreshed and prepared for the second half. So make sure you're here in about 10 minutes' time as we await the second half of this fixture. But at half-time, it is Chelsea 0, Newcastle 1. And we're back for the second half, which will be getting underway in a couple of minutes' time as Chelsea and Newcastle look to book a place into the semi-finals of this competition. Newcastle did that last season, coming up against Southampton over 2 legs, which they got through. And faced Manchester United in the final, where they were beaten. Chelsea got beat last season in the third round against Manchester City, but did reach the final in 2022 against Liverpool, where they were beaten on penalties. But what I found out when looking through Chelsea's previous in this competition, from 2017 to 2023, when they were knocked out of this competition in those 6 years, they were knocked out by Manchester City, Liverpool, Spurs, Manchester United and Arsenal, and they've been knocked out in the 4th round twice, a final, a 3rd round and a semi-final and a 4th round again. So, you know, they're coming up against very tough opposition, Chelsea, when they do get knocked out. It's not like, you know, they're being upset by any lower league teams. You know, when they're in this competition, they usually do face the best of the best whenever they do go out. So you've got to have some sympathy there, but at least they're reaching the latter stages of this competition. Just unfortunate for Chelsea that, you know, they've only won 3 League Cups in the century, in 2005, 2007, and then their last in 2015. It's a trophy Newcastle have never won. They have reached 2 finals, obviously one last year and then one in 1976 where they were beaten 2-1 against Manchester City. So it's definitely something that Eddie Howe would love to bring a bit of history into this Newcastle team. Obviously the last major trophy they did win was in 1955 in the FA Cup, but they did win the Championship back in 2017 under Rafa Benitez. But Eddie Howe, on his 100th game in charge of Newcastle, has got his side in front at half-time at the Bridge. It's just a result they need to see through. They're doing a very good work defensively at the minute. Chelsea enjoying 77% of the possession, but not really creating a lot with it. Their biggest chance with Conor Gallagher hitting the bar was from a corner where he hit it on the edge of the box. We had Cole Palmer have a strike from the edge of the box as well. That was easily saved by Dubravka. Sterling had a shot blocked in the 18-yard area by Bruno Guimaraes, but even if that had gone beyond the Brazilian, I think Dubravka may have saved it. So they are creating chances, but they're not really massive ones in terms of like where they're being took from. Like I said, the Gallagher one on the edge of the box, he shouldn't have been given that time and space on the edge of the box, but he was. And unfortunately at the crossbar, the best chance in terms of position was definitely the Sterling one, where it blocked by Guimaraes as Middlesbrough, the Championship side, have took a 3-0 lead at Port Vale. So it looks like Michael Carrick's men will be going through to the League Cup semi-final, which is great to see from a Championship side, as Fulham are still 1-0 up at Goodison Park, an own goal from Michael Keane. As it's going to be a double change here for Newcastle United. Number 2, Kieran Trippier. And number 33, Dan Burn will be coming on. Sven Botman will be replaced by Dan Burn. And Emil Kraft will be replaced by Kieran Trippier. So right back for right back. And it looks like Dan Burn's going to have to do a job at centre-half here. The position he's very accustomed to. Played a lot there for Brighton as Levi Colwill, who picked up a little bit of an injury in the first half, has been replaced by Malo Gusto, the French fullback, who will have to do a job on the opposite side. He's usually a right back, Gusto, but he's going to have to do a job on the left-hand side. So 2 changes for Newcastle, the 1 for Chelsea, and Chelsea made 1 also in the first half, Enzo Fernandez being replaced by Armando Broja. But we're going to get underway for the second half. Newcastle kicking right to left, Chelsea left to right as the ball goes under Lascelles' foot, so he's chased down by Broja, gets it to Trippier, goes down the line here, can't quite find Armour on. Good run forward by Gusto, go down under the challenger Trippier, and that'll be an early free kick in the final third for Chelsea on the far side. Really good start to his game tonight from Malo Gusto. Lots of energy in that run down the left-hand side, and winning the free kick from Kieran Trippier. As I'm presuming the draw for the semi-finals will be done tomorrow after the Liverpool-West Ham game in Anfield. As it is the right-footed option of Gallagher and the left-footed option of Palmer that is over it here for Chelsea. Badiashile and Thiago Silva are forward from centre-half. Nicholas Jackson's in there with Armando Broja. As will be the right foot of Conor Gallagher here. With his right foot towards the near post. Header won by Wilson, but it's deflected out to the Chelsea right to Caicedo. Goes back to Sterling. Puts a cross in first time. It's a deep one and no one is there for Chelsea to attack it. And it can be seen through there by Dubravka for a goal kick for the away side. Needs to be better than that. Raheem Sterling, who does have the 2 assists in the league this season. His best ever goals contribution season in the Premier League was 18 goals and 11 assists in the 2017-2018 season for Raheem Sterling. He does have 10 goals in his previous 20 against Newcastle, 9 of them in the Premier League, including 1 this season in the 4-1 defeat at Newcastle. As Dubravka goal kick goes straight off the head of Badiashile, headed back forward by Lascelles. Longstaff shoved to the ground there aerially by Gallagher, and that'll be a free kick for Newcastle, well won by the number 36, Sean Longstaff, who never scored more than 1 goal in a Premier League season before this campaign, where he's already got the 2 so far against Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. As here he is on the ball, driving it beyond the halfway line and playing it forward and out to the right to Almiron. Forced to go back here to Trippier. He's touched forward, gets himself away from Jackson and lifts the ball down the right channel. Can't quite find Wilson, cut out by Silva. And it's now Caicedo in the midfield. He's got options right, and he goes simple here to Palmer, who just about keeps it away from Miley. Disasi down the line, finds Broja. Back into Disasi in the Chelsea half. Caicedo forward to Palmer. His ball out to the right, works the second time. And Broja's touch gets to Sterling, but he loses out to Dan Burn. And it's now with Newcastle on halfway on this near side with Gordon. Ball forward, looking for Wilson. Well cut out by the right boot of Thiago Silva. It's now Disasi. His ball down the line is intercepted off Gordon. And that'll be a Chelsea throw-in. Just inside their own half, which has been taken quickly by Silva into Badiashile. And it's now with the very experienced Brazilian centre-half, Thiago Silva, who's only experienced the 1 victory against Newcastle in his 4 against them. And that was away in October 2021. His goalkeeper Petrovic sends a high ball down the Chelsea right. Broja will chase it and he will bring it down. Great touch from the Albanian. He's outside the 18-yard area. He's not got much going on in terms of support. As he plays it inside eventually to Caicedo. Good ball from Broja. Forward by Caicedo. Deflects off Almer onto Jackson, who lays it off to Palmer, who strikes from the edge of the box. It deflects away. Then that'll be a corner on the far side for Chelsea. Trying his luck there from afar. Cole Palmer. As it broke. Quite fortunately for Chelsea in the end. But still not being able to test Martin Dubravka. Conor Gallagher goes short to Cole Palmer. To the edge of the box to Gusto. Back out to Palmer on the far side. They need to get in the box if possible. Gallagher. A tackle by Livramento. Lewis Miley forward and into the space for Gordon, who just slowed down there as Jackson got there ahead of him. But it does look like Gordon's hobbling a little bit. Couldn't quite get going there as the ball was played into the space by Miley. Hopefully that's not another injury scare for Newcastle. Still hobbling there, Anthony Gordon, because that was a decent counter-attacking opportunity, but obviously couldn't be taken as the former Everton winger. Just hobbling as he sprinted. Great interception by Guimaraes. Ball forward by Chelsea looking for Palmer. But then the ball forward by Newcastle looking for Wilson. It's cut out by Thiago Silva and he's got it on the edge of his 18-yard box here. Now Thiago Silva now finds Caicedo. Forward to Broja, who's allowed to turn forward. Beyond the halfway line. He's passed out to the right. It's cut out by Livramento, but his heavy touch is won back by Broja. And it's Chelsea on the ball again in their own half. Gallagher. As Gordon's gone down here for Newcastle. Play doesn't have to be stopped as the ball is still in for Chelsea in the Newcastle half on the far side. Sterling. Palmer. Sterling again, who's dropped deep for the ball and tries to get it over the top in towards Broja, cut out by Burn. And all as far as Palmer midway inside the Newcastle half. The pressure is on here as Newcastle are currently down to 10. Disasi from right back, getting forward towards the final third. Caicedo, and then he's the one to kick it out of play. Decent sportsmanship from the Ecuadorian, but if I was Caicedo, I would have carried on. Doesn't matter if Gordon's gone down. Keep playing. I think some of his teammates aren't happy with his decision, but Moises Caicedo, sportsmanship-wise, probably does the correct thing. Because Chelsea were building, but it wasn't really anything too dangerous. It wasn't like they were, full flow attacking. It was just slow build-up. And Gordon is allowed to get the physio on the pitch and get some treatment, which I don't think he's going to get much treatment. I think they're going to get him off the pitch and down the tunnel and assess him further. Not a sight Newcastle want to see, with Sunderland in the FA Cup coming up in a couple of weeks. And he did suffer that challenge from Caicedo early on in the first half. It was about 2 minutes in. Caicedo fouled Gordon down the back of his leg with his studs, just scraped down the back of his leg. It was a nasty one, and they're thinking it's from that where he's picked up the injury and he's not been able to work it off. So Anthony Gordon, number 10, goes off, and it's Matt Ritchie to come on for Newcastle. So if he's out injured, that's 10 out injured for Newcastle. 11 out with Tonali. So, and that's one player they don't want to lose, Anthony Gordon, because they haven't got really any attackers on the bench, even youth players. Hence why they've had to bring Ritchie on, because he's the only attack-minded player they've got. As we do continue with Chelsea on the ball in the final third, towards the byline on the left-hand side. Jackson through, looking for the run of Conor Gallagher, straight into the hands of Dubravka in the 6-yard area. So another change for Newcastle. Scotsman Ritchie on, making his 9th appearance of the season. As it's the throw-in on halfway on the far side for Newcastle, as Longstaff was tackled there by Gallagher. I'm just having a read here. And it looks like Mary Earps, the England women's goalkeeper, has won BBC Personality of the Year, which is a very nice award for Mary Earps to win. I think Beth Mead won it a couple of years ago as well, after the Euros, as the throwing down the line for Newcastle's a long one, and it can be seen through for a goal kick by Badia Shealy. Good defending from the Frenchman. And there is Christopher Nkunku, warming up for Chelsea. New signing from RB Leipzig, brought for £52 million. He is a goal scorer. He's usually more of an attacking midfielder, but loves to score goals. Got 23 in all competitions last season. Got 16 in 25 Bundesliga appearances. He's a really dangerous player, the Frenchman, who's yet to play for Chelsea due to being injured in pre-season with a knee injury. Christopher Nkunku, who got 3 goals in 4 appearances in pre-season before being injured. And will they introduce him to make his Chelsea debut at some point in the game, if they're still down by a goal to nil? It's Chelsea on the ball, on the far left-hand side, on halfway. Malo Gusto with the ball. Driving inside onto his right foot, laying it off to halfway to Gallagher. It's now Caicedo. Gallagher again, being closed down by Longstaff, but he shifts it to the left-hand side here to Broja. Gallagher. Caicedo gets it a 1-2 with Gusto. It's back now on halfway with Thiago Silva. He clips the ball out to the left-hand side. It's a perfect ball for Broja, who brings it down well. 1-on-1 with Trippier. On the outside of the English fullback, then tries to go on the inside, but he's been stopped by Trippier. Cleared by Lascelles, but it's not a very convincing one. Headed forward by Caicedo to Gusto, midway side the Newcastle half, who turns armour on really well. Good run from Gusto. Ball inside it to Broja. Low ball in, touched by Jackson, and the strike, which just goes wide of the left post. And I think he'll go for a goal kick, as Nicholas Jackson is searching for his 9th Chelsea goal in his 20th appearance. Good work down the left between Gusto and Broja. And as Jackson took the touch, he was able to swivel and shoot. But unfortunately for Chelsea, he just dragged it wide. Not by much. But it shows that if Chelsea are persistent with their patience, the rewards will come eventually. But 10 minutes into the second half, and it's still 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. Headed forward by Gallagher on the goal kick. Fires Nicholas Jackson. Sterling's bombing forward to his right. He'll play it to him in the box. Sterling, touch, and he shoots. It's well saved down low by Dubravka. Drops the Trippier on the right side of the box, who clears it up towards halfway. That's one back by Chelsea. Forward to Gallagher. In the final third now with left back Gusto, who is primarily right-footed, so goes back to Palmer, who crosses it with his left foot, headed away by 6'7" Dan Burn. Can't be kept alive by Wilson. One back for Chelsea in the Newcastle half. Thiago Silva clips a ball into the far post. Gusto squares it towards Jackson. It's caught by Dubravka. Nowhere near the Senegalese striker in the end. But again, good thought process there by Thiago Silva. Seeing the run of Gusto in the 18-yard area, but the big chance came from Sterling. Shot across goal on the right-hand side. It was just a bit too close to the goalkeeper. So it's definitely a save you expect Dubravka to make, but the parry was probably the most impressive thing. Parrying it away from goal and not into the path of Armando Broja. So still 1-0. Newcastle have got a lot of defending to do. Dubravka sends it into the Chelsea half. Headed on by Trippier, and that will be a Chelsea throw-in midway inside their own half on the far side. As the other League Cup games, Everton still trail 1-0 to Fulham with 15 minutes to play. Same for Port Vale. They trail 3-0 though against Middlesbrough. Throwing down the line by Gusto. Flicked on towards Sterling. Tackled by Byrne. It's now Longstaff on halfway. On the far right-hand side. 1-2 with Guimaraes. Longstaff now forward to Wilson. He's got his back to goal. Being held here by Badiashile. But he's able to work it out to the right-hand side to Almiron. Falls back to Trippier. Then down the line towards Guimaraes. Gets beyond him and Badiashile. And Gusto can clean up ahead of Almiron. Thiago Silva just outside the 18-yard area. Tackled by Almiron. That'll be a goal kick for Chelsea. Well won there by Thiago Silva. As on the roads today, it will be a 10-hour round trip for Newcastle. 5 hours here by car and coach and 5 hours back. Long way to go, but they are well travelled. These Newcastle supporters, especially this season, with their adventures in Europe. As Gusto dispossessed on halfway by Lewis Miley. Now Guimaraes in the centre circle. Out to the left to the onrushing Livramento, who's tackled well by Thiago Silva. And they're a left back down here. Newcastle, as it's Cole Palmer, just inside the opposition half. Works out to the left-hand side here to Gallagher. He's got Sterling on once more. Jackson making the run through in the box, but it's overhit by Conor Gallagher. And it'll be well collected by Martin Dubravka. Watching Chelsea the way I have a couple of times this season, what they're missing, and it might be within their squad already with Christopher Nkunku, they're missing that creative midfielder who can make those defence-splitting passes. That's just what, like a bit of a James Maddison. And I'm not just saying that because he was linked with Chelsea and apparently they didn't sign him because he was just older than 25 or whatever the age limit they have on signing players, Chelsea, because we obviously know that they're obviously signing youthful players. But Christopher Nkunku could be that player who could supply those defence-splitting passes because he can do both. Nkunku, he can be a creative player and a goal scorer. But you feel like a Maddison in this Chelsea team will be perfect with the runs they're making. Like Conor Gallagher is an engine in the midfield, but when it comes to winning the ball, which he does really well, that final pass he just struggles with sometimes. And they could just do with a really good creative midfielder. And like I say, Nkunku might be the one to do it. Obviously, he's not played this season due to a knee injury, so they've not yet seen what he's about at Stamford Bridge. But there's definitely something they're screaming out for as Caicedo just about moves it away from Longstaff inside his own half, and he works it out to Disasi at right back, who sends a ball down the right-hand side in behind, looking towards Jackson. Dubravka clears it on the edge of the 18-yard area, straight to the feet of Livramento, who tries a 1-2 with Miley, and it comes off well. Now forward to Wilson, who's tackled fairly by Badiashile in the centre circle, and it's now with Gallagher into the path of left-back Gusto. As we've got just over half an hour to play at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, like in the first half, dominating the possession, but not quite able to beat Martin Dubravka as Newcastle are yet to concede in this competition. Clean sheet against City and Manchester United. Sterling, tackled strongly there by Jamal Lascelles, and it'll run through to Gallagher, who's got loads of time on the ball, and he just shifts it to his right here to Sterling, about 10 yards inside the Newcastle half. He goes back to Badiashile as he was being closed down by Longstaff there. Sterling, as it's now a Palmer on the right-hand side. Back into his own half here with Thiago Silva. And it's now with Disasi. They were knocked out in the League Cup and the FA Cup third round last season, Chelsea. Both to Manchester City away from home 4-0 and 2-0. So they've done better this season in the League Cup. They've got the FA Cup coming up soon as well. Chelsea in a couple of weeks, where they've got Preston at home in the third round as Jackson has the ball. to Sterling, midway inside the Newcastle half. He gets beyond Miley and plays it through in the box to Broja on the right-hand side. It's now Palmer. Loads of black and white shirts in his way, so he's been forced to go back here to Disasi. Still in the final third here, though, for Chelsea. Disasi on this near side. Goes back into Conor Gallagher. Forward into the space for Disasi. Outside the box, puts a ball across, and that's well held by Dubravka. Any spillages, and that could have caused danger for Newcastle. Not a bad ball from Disasi. He needs a Chelsea attacker to commit to it, really. No one made the run forward for Chelsea. But yeah, had to be well held there by Dubravka, for sure. Dubravka kicks out of his hands deep into the Chelsea half, where Wilson can't quite beat Thiago Silva to the header. And it's now Chelsea on the ball inside their own half. With Benoit Badiashile. Obviously, it was an all-round bad season last year for Chelsea, finishing in the lowest position since the 94-95 season, where they finished in 11th. Last season, they finished 12th. Did reach the Champions League quarter-finals, but were beaten by Real Madrid as Palmer's ball through to Broja in the box. His halted play because Broja was offside. Flag goes up on by Darren Can. But like I say, with Chelsea poor season last year, especially in the league, and Darren Can's got that right. Broja just offside there as the ball was played through. It's not got much better, has it? They're currently 10th in the league at the minute. Chelsea, 7 points off Newcastle, who are in 6th in a European spot. Although it is the Europa League, it's still a European spot. Needs improvement for Chelsea. Obviously, got so much youth in the side. They are just struggling at the moment. It's Callum Wilson in a right wing position. Brings down Gusto for Chelsea, and that'll be a free kick for the home side. Taken quickly into Gusto. Forward into Sterling, beyond the halfway. He's going to be chased down by Guimaraes, but he plays it through to Jackson on the edge of the box. Flicks it into the path looking for Broja, cut out by Guimaraes in the 18-yard area. And he pokes it out to the left-hand side to Ritchie. He goes down the line first time. Can't find Wilson, cut out by Silva. Down the line to Gallagher. Forward and inside looking for Disasi. It reaches Guimaraes first. He's going back towards his own goal here. And he's tackled fairly, and that'll be a throw-in for the home side in the final third. He wanted to take it quickly, but no real options there for Palmer. And it'll be given for Disasi to take, and he throws it backwards here. The former Monaco defender. Like I say, Chelsea won't want to extend this run of 4 without a win against Newcastle. They'll want to cut that as soon as possible. The last cup meet. Oh, Palmer goes forward to Jackson, lays it off to Gallagher. Back towards Jackson, deflects to Gallagher, who keeps it alive for Chelsea. Caicedo back out to the right to Disasi. It's now Palmer a little bit deeper. He'll work across in towards the penalty spot. Cleared not very well by Lascelles. Kept alive for Chelsea through Caicedo. Sterling. He's got Gusto out wide, and he does feed it to the Frenchman, who on his right foot fakes the first cross. Back down the line for Sterling again. And then into Gusto, who will then deliver the ball towards Gallagher, off the back of the head of Livramento, headed into the air by Ritchie, brought down on the edge by Palmer, headed away by Miley, volleyed by Guimaraes, controlled by Badiashile on halfway, and Chelsea again will build from the back this time. Like I was saying, the last cup meeting between these two was in the FA Cup, back in 2018 in the 4th round, a Batshuayi double and a Marcus Alonso goal in the second half, gave Chelsea the win in 3-0. A season which I think they went on and won the FA Cup under Antonio Conte. Chelsea beating Manchester United in the final. They've won 6 FA Cups this century, Chelsea. Their last Premier League, though, was in 2017 under the Italian. Don't think a Premier League title is coming anytime soon, especially this season anyway. Badiashile, he is the furthest back for Chelsea, but he gets out wide and forward to Disasi. Gallagher, Disasi, under 25 minutes to play. Still Newcastle lead for a Chelsea error. Ball back towards Caicedo from Colwill, got away from the Ecuadorian, then Wilson burst forward. Somehow got beyond Thiago Silva. That was poor defending from the Brazilian. And then Badiashile panicked and lost the ball in the 18-yard area. Gave Wilson the chance to score, and he took that really well with the outside of his boot. They've done a lot of defending Newcastle, but I don't think they mind it. I really don't think they mind the defending against Chelsea. They were still yet to make another change as Everton have equalised. Beto with the goal. So Everton won, Fulham won in one of the other quarter-finals, which kicked off 15 minutes earlier. So they'll be late on in that game. Yeah, 85th minute currently, as Middlesbrough still lead 3-0 away at Port Vale. So we will have a championship side in the semi-finals. I'm sure the 3 Premier League teams that go through will be licking their lips, wanting Middlesbrough over 2 legs, which is what the League Cup is, over 2 legs when she gets to the semi-final stage. Caicedo for Chelsea. All Newcastle players behind the ball. They're really sitting deep and defending here, allowing Chelsea to have the ball. Ball through by Palmer to Gallagher, edge of the box, he strikes it. And I don't even think drag's the right word. It's a real poor strike. Just pulled at it, and it went quite wide of the post in the end. And it looks like we are going to be seeing Christopher Nkunku for the first time in a Chelsea shirt competitively. Scored 3 goals in 4 pre-season appearances, but in that last game of pre-season against Borussia Dortmund, he picked up a knee injury, where he's not been able to make an appearance for Chelsea, and it looks like he'll be introduced very shortly. As the goal kick from Dubravka is kept alive by Almiron. Touch back towards Longstaff, avoids the midfielder. Sterling to Gusto. Sterling again. Gusto at left back, midway side his own half. He goes to Badiashile, and it's Chelsea in the possession again. Quarter of the game to play. Caicedo back into his 18-yard area here to Petrovic, who's not had much to do in the Chelsea goal. The Serbian. He has it again. Plays it forward to Gallagher. Back to Petrovic. Shifts out with the left foot to Thiago Silva. Nods it on to Palmer. Well worked in the end by Chelsea to avoid losing the ball in a very dangerous area in their defensive third. Left centre half here is Badiashile. Forward to the halfway line to Sterling, who's allowed to turn. Great ball from Badiashile. Sterling looking out to the Chelsea right. It's a short ball again. Picked up by Tino Livramento, who has a 1-2 with Miley. Livramento bursting down the left-hand side. Can't get away from Thiago Silva. Really good challenge from the Brazilian. And that'll be a throw-in for the away side. Good running from Livramento. And here we go. This is something that will lift the Chelsea fans, and it literally has lifted them off their seats as they applaud Nicholas Jackson off. They roar of the sight of Christopher Nkunku, signed in the summer for £52 million from RB Leipzig. It's his Chelsea debut as he's returning from a knee injury. He made his first appearance on the bench against Sheffield United, but couldn't get on the field. Saved him for tonight. And finally, he is on at Stamford Bridge in a Chelsea shirt. Christopher Nkunku on. Is it the player that they are missing this season to get going and get up the Premier League table? Badiashile on the edge of the 18-yard box heads away, helped on by the head of Caicedo. Headed forward by Dan Burn, right into the 18-yard box where it's collected by Petrovic. Free kick for Chelsea. I think there's a bit of a push there by Wilson on Badiashile. And it's now with Gallagher in the midfield, midway side his own half. He's running away here from Guimaraes, and he's been forced to go back here to Newcastle, who have not had a shot yet in this second half, but they're still leading 1-0 with 23% of the possession as well in the second half. Palmer, just inside his own half in the centre circle, plays a ball over the top. Can't find Sterling. Headed away. Miley. Volleyed by Guimaraes into the Chelsea half. Headed away out to the left by Badiashile ahead of Callum Wilson. And he goes across to the number 6, Thiago Silva, who's got the 1 year left on his deal. See if he'll extend it even further. The 39-year-old is a lifted ball out to the left. Just goes beyond Gusto. Can't quite get on the end of it. Throwing on the far side for Newcastle inside their own half. Just the one change made for Chelsea from the weekend, with Mudryk being replaced by Fernandes. As Mudryk is on the bench tonight. There's another attacking option. He's got the 1 League Cup appearance. The Ukrainian, as they thrown forward, is not been kept by Wilson. A chested touch which was heavy fell to the feet of Caicedo. He's now on halfway in the centre circle with Disasi. Into Silva. Badiashile. Forward again in between the lines. What a ball that is. And here is Christopher Nkunku. Into Sterling. He tries to take on Trippier. Sterling goes down and the referee gives a foul the other way. Simulation from Raheem Sterling. He doesn't have a lot of complaints, which tells you a lot about that. Tried to go on the outside of Trippier there, Raheem Sterling, as he knocked the ball past him. He fell to the ground. Yeah, not for me. And I think Sterling's reaction sums it up. So free kick for Newcastle. Raheem Sterling with the booking, with a dive. Dubravka sends it down the Newcastle right. It's been kept in by Trippier, but the header's been picked up by a Chelsea man, then cleared by Lascelles into the stands on the far side. And Nkunku wants to take the throw in quickly, and he will do to Conor Gallagher in the Chelsea half. Switches out towards the right-hand side here to Thiago Silva. Chelsea still trying to score an equaliser, which I think would take it straight to penalties if I'm not wrong. Petrovic, the goalkeeper, dinks it out to the left to Gusto, the left-back, inside to Gallagher, who goes back towards Badiashile, who will get there ahead of Wilson on the edge of the 18-yard box and pokes it forward to Sterling. Gusto, out to the left, to Nkunku, in the Newcastle half, off the bench to make his Chelsea debut, competitively. Keeps it simple with a ball to Caicedo. Palmer, forward towards Nkunku, touches it nicely for Broja, who tries to slip it through towards the Frenchman, cut out by Livramento. Miley tackled by Disasi, and it deflects back into the Chelsea half with Badiashile. And it's Chelsea again on the ball. The amount of possession they've had tonight, Chelsea, is really something else. Newcastle have been more than happy to just let Chelsea have the ball. And I think it's smart from Eddie Howe, because he would have watched Chelsea this season. He will know that against low blocks, Chelsea struggle badly. They really do. I've heard from some Chelsea fans that when they play against a lower team in the league, they struggle more than when they play a good team. You've seen them against Arsenal and Chelsea score goals and get ahead in games against teams like that, or be in the games because it's free-flowing, it's open football. Same against Liverpool, that was a draw. You know, they're drawn at home against Liverpool, Arsenal and City. It's because it's end-to-end stuff, it's open. But when they play against a block where they've got to try and break through, they struggle. And you know what? It's smart from Eddie Howe to set up the way he has tonight, as negative as it's been, to show his really good tactical nous in his 100th game in charge of Newcastle. As Trippier goes down on halfway. Free kick for the away side on halfway. Brought down there by Raheem Sterling, Kieran Trippier. Lascelles just inside his own half, forward to Longstaff, lays it off to Guimaraes, who gets away from Caicedo, but the referee pulls it back for the free kick. And that's come with the annoyance of Guimaraes, because he had got away from Caicedo, so I don't quite know why he's given the free kick there, the referee, Jared Gillett, sorry. As Guimaraes takes it, switches out to the left. He's just leaked it bit behind Ritchie, but he will keep it in and plays it down the line to Miley, who can turn and look forward here. Ritchie's making the run. He goes to Livramento instead. Newcastle in the final third here, as Livramento goes down a bit too easily for the referee's liking, and Chelsea can break. Caicedo finds Sterling. Chances on. He's got Nkunku to his left. Broja to his right. Sterling will find Nkunku. It's just a bit ahead of him. He will get there, but he's been forced wide, and the attack... It's just been killed slightly. But Chelsea is still forward here in the Newcastle half. Palmer with it. Disasi's furthest right. Goes out to the left instead to Badiashile. Thiago Silva. It's now to Disasi. It's now Thiago Silva again. Midway side of the Newcastle half. Just edging towards this near side here. Thiago Silva. As he'll clip it into the 18-yard box. Header won by Lascelles, but it's still alive for Chelsea. Had to be volleyed by Trippier. And it's with Badiashile on halfway. We've got under 15 minutes to play the 90. Still 1-0 to Newcastle. A real smash and grab from Callum Wilson in the 16th minute. Could be the reason why Newcastle head to the League Cup semi-final. Gallagher. It's now with Thiago Silva. Furthest back for Chelsea. He's got everything in front of him. The Brazilian as he goes to his left to Badiashile. Bringing the ball forward ever so slightly. Caicedo forward. pass intercepted by Guimaraes. Drops on halfway to Badiashile. Still in the possession of the Blues, as I don't think they've had so much possession this season. Chelsea. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they are really struggling to create openings against this 11-man defence of Newcastle. Gallagher shifts it out to the right-hand side here to Disasi. Back into Gallagher midway inside the Newcastle half. They're just not getting it in the final third quicker enough here, Chelsea. But a switch out to the left by Thiago Silva finds Gusto. And it's now just gone beyond Sterling, but it's picked up by Caicedo. It's now Sterling again, forward to Nkunku. Back into Sterling on the byline. Gets onto his right foot, but he's been tackled by Longstaff. And he's been tackled fairly there by Gusto. Ball drops to Nkunku. As Longstaff stays down, he needs to get back on his feet here. As Nkunku goes across to Conor Gallagher. Keeps it moving to the right to Disasi. Edge of the box, he goes back across to Gallagher, then into Disasi again. Bit isolated on the right-hand side here, so he has to go back to Thiago Silva. Wow, this game has really been testing my patience. This is boring. Chelsea just cannot break it down. Out to the left it goes to Gusto in the final third. Lays off to Sterling. To Caicedo. Gusto again in a left wing position. One-on-one with Almiron. Tries to play a ball through to Sterling. Deflects. Looking for Gallagher. Picked up first though by Wilson. And his clearance down the right-hand side deflects off Caicedo for a throw-in. And Chelsea are going to make a double change here. Ian Martson, who spent last season on loan at Championship winning Burnley. He will replace Axel Disasi. So Malo Gusto will come over to the right-hand side, and Ian Martson, a more natural left-back, will go to the left-hand side. And the number 7, Raheem Sterling, will also be replaced by number 10, Mykhailo Mudryk, who's got the 2 goals this season, both in the Premier League, one against Fulham and then his last against Arsenal on the 21st of October. Will these changes make any difference? As Newcastle have definitely done their homework on this Chelsea team. Sit back and try and let them break you down, because they won't. They can't. They struggle. Trippier throws it down the line, up towards halfway, nodded on by Wilson, but no one's there to chase. Kept back by Silva to goalkeeper Petrovic. Sends it out to the left-hand side, helped on by Martson, kept not in, not kept in by Mudryk. That'll be throwing on halfway on the far side for Newcastle. Not a great ball, really, from the goalkeeper Petrovic to Martson. If you are here, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to lie, this game has been difficult to commentate on because it has just been attack v defence, and it's an attack which are struggling and it's a defence which are coping. So it's not been the most exciting game, but you know, it is a big occasion, and if there is an equaliser, then that's when it really does get spicy. And we've got 11 minutes to go. Mauricio Pochettino visibly struggling, as I don't think he expected this tonight. I think he expected a bit more of an open game, but Newcastle have come here to defend. And if that's the way they're going to do it, to get through, that's how they're going to do it. Edge of the box here, Callum Wilson, just dispossessed by Caicedo, but the loose ball finds Guimaraes, who scoops it out towards the right-hand side over the head of Miguel Almiron. And it's a throw-in in a left-back position for Chelsea. They've got over 10 minutes of the 90 to play, plus any additional time that could be added on by referee Jared Gillett. Thrown down the line by Martson, headed on by Trippier. Or as far as Mudryk. And it's working out to the right-hand side here in the 18-yard box is Silva. Now out to the right back, playing in his more natural position. Malo Gusto. Cole Palmer on the halfway line. Forward and inside to Nkunku. Tries to find Gusto, but he made the run forward and Nkunku played it behind him. Throwing for Newcastle. Not really good there from Christopher Nkunku, who's come off the bench for his debut tonight. Might remember a couple of seasons ago in the Champions League over here in England at the Etihad, he scored a hat-trick for the German side in a 6-3 defeat against Manchester City. Yet to score for his country though. Christopher Nkunku, who's injured for the World Cup. Oh, Palmer's won it well from Ritchie. Down the line for Broja. Can't quite move away from Dan Burn. That'll be another throw-in a left-back position for Newcastle. That'll be Tino Livramento to take. Despite being at the club until 2021, Tino Livramento, he never made an appearance for the senior team after spending 12 years at the club. Bruno Guimaraes overhits a touch. Mudryk can take it away only momentarily as Newcastle win it back. Clearance from 17-year-old Lewis Miley goes to Chelsea left-back Martin on halfway. 9 minutes to play. Remember, we are commentating 3 more games this week. Tomorrow, Liverpool-West Ham in the final quarter-final of the League Cup. Then on Thursday, it's the Premier League and it's Crystal Palace against Brighton. And then on Saturday night, on the 23rd of December, we are going over to Italy for the Serie A as Roma take on Napoli. As midway inside the Newcastle half, on the near side, it's Malo Gusto into Gallagher, back out wide right to Gusto. First time low ball into the box, it goes all the way through beyond Broja and Nkunku and Palmer, and eventually cleared for Newcastle. Badiashile out to the left to Martin. Been forced all the way back here to Petrovic, the goalkeeper, from pressing by Miguel Almiron. Gusto inside to Palmer. Nice little turn away from Lewis Miley, but his ball out to the left, cut out by Almiron. But the ball drops to Martin in the midfield. Gallagher forward and out to the right to Gusto, who will cross it, which deflects. It's headed on by Nkunku and loops into the arms of Martin Dubravka. I think as he headed it, it just deflected off Byrne, I think, there, which took the sting out of the header, and it was an easy save in the end for Dubravka. Kicks it up towards halfway, can't be controlled by Wilson, nodded down to his right by Silva to Gusto. He goes back to Petrovic to keep possession. Petrovic closed down by Almiron. He kicks it out of play for a Newcastle throw-in on halfway on the near side. Good pressing there from Miguel Almiron to force the error. Livramento with the ball in his hands. Throws it down the line, chested down by Wilson. Poked away by Silva. Brought down by Gallagher in the Chelsea half. And it's back in their 18-yard area with George Petrovic, the goalkeeper, who kept his first ever clean sheet in a Chelsea shirt at the weekend after coming on late against Everton and still conceding away at Goodison Park. Martin, the left back, tackled by Almiron. Thrown on the far side, halfway line for Chelsea. Thrown quickly into Gallagher. His pass towards Thiago Silva is a heavy one, goes right over his head, but he will be able to keep it in on the near side. There's Chelsea number 6. He drives forward here. He's got a bit of room to run into. Plays it into Caicedo. I 100% see now, 100% see why Chelsea fans get frustrated when they watch this Chelsea team against lower teams. I mean, I know that this is a higher league team, but the way they're sitting back, it's like they're struggling for relegation. Newcastle is a square ball in by Gusto's, dealt with by Lascelles, corner on the near side for Chelsea. Because obviously teams who are near the relegation zone will come to Stamford Bridge and just sit back, and Chelsea quite simply don't have the quality to break them down. And when you've got a team of Newcastle's quality doing it, they haven't got a chance. But maybe from a corner, the chance will appear. Cole Palmer in swinger on the near side. Left-footed ball headed away by Lascelles. Good strong header from the captain. Brought down though by Gallagher. Mudryk, who's not quite had an impact from the bench yet as he crosses it deep with the left foot. And it goes right through for a goal kick. No one attacking it there in the 6-yard area. Another great ball though from Mikhailo Mudryk. He's not really had the greatest Chelsea career. And I'm just reading here that apparently Enzo Fernandez came off in the first half, not due to injury, but due to illness. So apparently that's why he was brought off by Mauricio Pochettino in the 31st minute. Ball drops to Thiago Silva from the flick on from Callum Wilson. Petrovic clears first time for Chelsea. Looking for Broja. Header won by Byrne. Drops to Conor Gallagher just inside his own half here. And now into Martin on the left-hand side. Longstaff coming across to block his run. through on goal, but his pass is cut out by Lascelles. Thumped clear into the Chelsea half. Good defending by Jamal Lascelles, who I think has been absolutely fantastic this season. Barely played last season, Lascelles. Made 11 appearances, 2 starts in the Premier League. He's on 11 starts in a row in the league this season due to the injury of Sven Botman. And now that run will probably continue with the injury of Fabian Schär. And can Chelsea try and at least have one half-decent attempt at Martin Dubravka? With all this possession, the lack of attempts on goal, or threatful attempts on goal, is rather worrying for Chelsea. Because a lot of teams will watch this and they'll know exactly what to do when they come up against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. They will just sit back and defend. Mudryk, ball to the far post. Header away by Livramento, which went right across goal. And it just avoided Conor Gallagher at the far post. It will go for a corner. But Livramento's header away from the Mudryk cross was completely miscued. Went right across goal, and my word, Gallagher was close. And it'll be a corner kick for Mudryk. It's an in-swinger with his right boot. In it goes, headed onto the far post by Longstaff, kept alive by Broja. Palmer on the edge of the 18-yard box. Try and recycle it back in the box. Cut out by Miley. Guimaraes with the turn and the touch away from Broja. Down the Newcastle left, outside of the boot, ball in behind, looking for Callum Wilson. But Maatsen will get there first. And Chelsea will go forward with Gallagher. Broja in a right wing position. They could really do with him in the box. The tall Albanian, but it's now with Gusto. Forward to Nkunku, holding it up, back to goal. Got Dan Burn stopping him going forward, so he goes back to Gallagher. Across to Caicedo, 2 minutes of the 90 to play. Gallagher forward, into Gusto. Gallagher again, inside to Caicedo, and then back to the halfway line to Badiashile. Maatsen forward and that to the left to Mykhailo Mudryk, who's tackled by Almiron. That is shocking dribbling. Cleared up towards Wilson, cut out by the head of Caicedo, which drops straight to Almiron, lifts it into Longstaff as the ball runs out of play, throwing in the Newcastle half for Chelsea. But Mudryk, you've got to run at your defender better than that. Try and scare him a little bit. Chelsea have worked out to the right-hand side with Gusto. Sorry, it's getting a bit too exciting there. This Chelsea attack for the 50th time, which they're doing the same thing. Gallagher gets in the box, but he's tackled by Livramento, but he keeps it outside the edge of the box. Gallagher towards the right-hand side, he goes down, and yeah, he's trying to buy that, Conor Gallagher. Waved away by the referee, Jared Gillett. Tonight's captain, Gallagher, goes down, try to win the foul. Like I say, he did well there, Gallagher, outside the box. Livramento lost his footing and Gallagher just shoved into the ground with the shoulder. And as he drove into the box, he tried to dangle out that right leg to win a penalty. You can see what he's trying to do. Dangles the right leg out. Try to con the referee. Should really be booked for that, Conor Gallagher, when the ball went out of play for a goal kick. We're hitting the 90th minute. And in all fairness, and everyone watching and listening, do apologise. This game's been garbage. You know, I like to be honest. I don't like to sugarcoat anything. This game's been rubbish. As Wilson plays it through to Almiron. Could this be the dagger blow? Almiron on the angle has the shot straight down the throat of Petrovic. And he'll throw it out quickly for Chelsea. They've got 4 minutes. It's do or die now for the Blues. Thiago Silva. Chelsea have had 14 shots. 3 on target, which says everything. And 78% of the ball. And yet they still trail by 1-0 by Wilson in the 16th minute. But those 14 shots, 3 on target, they barely tested Martin Dubravka. Gusto just about keeps it away from Miley. They cannot break through a low block, Chelsea. They just don't have the ideas to do it. They don't have the plays to do it. Gusto in the final third. Everything to his left here for Chelsea. Goes to Gallagher, who crosses that ball in. It goes right through. It's a good ball. It's a teasing one. It just needs someone to commit for Chelsea, but no one's even running towards it. You know, Gallagher creatively tonight has been pretty bad, but that's a good cross. But I don't get why no Chelsea players burst in the gut to get there. Just try, at least. Thiago Silva back out to the right-hand side to Gusto. He puts a cross in. It's another great ball, and no one's there, but Trippier's header drops to Mudryk! And it's the slice of luck they need, but the Ukrainian sends the Chelsea fans crazy as they equalise this League Cup quarter-final in added-on time. It's another mistake from Kieran Trippier. It feels like they're coming every game for the 33-year-old right-back, and another one's occurred at the bridge. He scored an own goal here last season on the last day for a 1-1 draw. This season in the League Cup quarter-final, he's gifted Mudryk a chance. The ball went through to the far post, where Trippier was all on his own. He tried to head it back towards his own goalkeeper. The header went short, and Mudryk, who seemed like he wasn't even interested in the original cross, he certainly became interested when that ball dropped free in the area. And as he guided the ball into that bottom right corner, nicely opened up the body to bounce it beyond Martin Dubravka. And after a defensive performance, which any side would be proud of, it's all been undone through half-time substitute Kieran Trippier. He had one job to head it back to his goalkeeper. The header went short. Mudryk nipped in, finished it really well there, the Ukrainian. And in added on time, it's Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. As the referee here is just having a word with what looks like one of the stewards here for Chelsea. As Jared Gillett just has a word here with fourth official Darren England. I think there might have been a bit of crowd trouble there with a goal, but who can blame them? They've just equalised in the quarter-final of the League Cup in, the 92nd minute of the game. But we've been given a goal for Chelsea. Their patience has been rewarded through a bit of luck. Trippier should have defended that, because like I was saying, when the cross went in, it was a really good cross, but Mudryk was nowhere near it at the far post. And then when Trippier headed it into the space, he quickly latched onto it, the Ukrainian, and finished really well. It's his third goal of the season. He's got 2 in the Premier League. His last goal for Chelsea was in late October against Arsenal. He's now got 1 in the League Cup. And that's his third goal for Chelsea in general since joining in January of this year for £88.5 million as Conor Gallagher fouls Bruno Guimaraes on halfway. And it'll be a free kick for the away side. I want to say it's half deserved for Chelsea, because when you have, 79% of the ball, you feel like you've got to score at some point. But it's just the way they were gifted the goal more than anything. Like I say, they'd put loads of crosses in the last 5 minutes where they were really good balls, but no one was attacking them. And it was the same with that one there. No one was attacking that cross. Mudryk was nowhere near it. It's only when Trippier's header backwards went short, when Mudryk went, oh God, there's a chance here. I should actually attack this ball instead of backing off. And he finished it. And the word from the referee there towards that steward for the Chelsea was a Chelsea fan managed to get on the pitch and just give a bit of a shoulder barge to Dubravka, who thankfully stayed down as a wild kick there from Guimaraes, and Mudryk goes towards him. And it's all setting off a little bit here. Yellow card for Guimaraes for that tackle. It was a high kick there. Not quite sure who it was on. It was on Ian Maatsen, the Dutch left back for Chelsea, who's gone right over on the white line there on the far side. He's covered in the white paint, and that's a wild kick from Guimaraes. What is he doing? Tries to take the ball and certainly tries to take the man, goes straight through Ian Maatsen. I mean, in complete fairness, I think it's just on that borderline of a yellow. I don't think it's a red, but it is certainly wild from Guimaraes, who definitely took out Ian Maatsen. And that means Guimaraes will miss the first leg of the semi-final, first leg, if Newcastle get there. Second booking of the competition. And Mudryk also books for his reaction, going up towards Guimaraes. So we played 6 minutes, 4 were added on, and then the whistle eventually goes. It's full time here at Stamford Bridge, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's straight to penalties. Yeah, straight to penalties, because the Everton-Fulham result ended 1-1, and they've gone to penalties. 6-5 to Everton, with a Fulham penalty to take. They've both missed 2 penalties, Fulham and Everton, so that's all square. It's sudden death at the minute. Middlesbrough have beaten Port Vale 3-0. So Middlesbrough through. Still waiting confirmation for Everton-Fulham. If Fulham missed that penalty, they are out. They've scored it. So it's 6-6 after 7 at Goodison Park, and we've got a penalty shootout here at Stamford Bridge. A 16th minute goal from Callum Wilson was cut out in the 92nd minute through Mudryk. Another error from Kieran Trippier. Feels like he's making so many errors recently. He made 3 in the 3-0 defeat at Everton, which we commentated on. Gave the ball away twice and then played Beto onside for the 3rd goal. And he was dropped to the bench at the weekend. He was on the bench today to start off with. He came on at half-time for Emil Kraft, who seemed to be struggling with injury. And he's made another mistake once again. But it's a good finish from Mudryk. It came to him very fortunately after he didn't bother attacking the original Malo Gusto cross. He was just arriving late. And to be fair, him arriving late probably did him a favour, capitalising on the Kieran Trippier error. Like I said, try to head it back towards his own keeper. Instead of heading it, it kind of just bounced off his head, which made it lack pace. And it could be just stroked home into the bottom right corner by Mudryk. And it's given us a penalty shootout here. It's going to set up for the penalty shootout scoreline here on screen. There we go. In the brackets is the penalty, just in case you couldn't figure that out. As they've just gone over to Goodison Park here. Have we had a winner yet here? And Fulham have won on penalties. 7-6. Marco Silva's men are in the League Cup semi-final. Everton under Sean Dyche have missed out on reaching the League Cup semi-final for the first time since 2016, where they were knocked out by Manchester City's Manuel Pellegrini side. Delight for Fulham. 1-1 on the night. 7-6 on penalties. So it is Middlesbrough and Fulham through. So if you're Liverpool, West Ham, who are yet to play, and if you're Chelsea, Newcastle, you're looking at this and you're thinking, what an opportunity to get to a final minimum. Because if one of them get Middlesbrough, they'll definitely fancy that. And, you know, if West Ham go through, like tomorrow night, who knows? It's a really wide open League Cup this. Anyone can win it, I think. Obviously, if Liverpool do go through tomorrow, they'll be the favourites. But I still think it's an open book for who goes through. And when Chelsea scored their equaliser, by the way, a person came onto the pitch and just, like I said before, shoulder barged Martin Dubravka. Nothing more, which I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. He shouldn't be on the pitch in the first place. But Dubravka stayed calm but didn't react. So I don't know if that'll have any bearings on which way the penalties are going to be taken. Because obviously it is about safety at the end of the day as well. So we've had 2 confirmed teams through. Middlesbrough against Port Vale. And Everton have been knocked out by Fulham on penalties. Idrissa Gueye missing the most important one of all. As there's still conversations here between all the coaching staff and the referee and the head of the security, I presume, for Chelsea. Because obviously they want the penalties to be taken and they usually flip a coin for which end it goes at. But I think they're just a little bit worried here that Chelsea fans might spill back onto the pitch if their team wins it. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think there's going to be a decision here. I think it's going to go down the Newcastle end. No, it isn't. They're going to flip the coin. Which end will it be down? It'll be towards the Newcastle supporters. So it'll be towards the left side of the goals, in front of the Newcastle end. And it will be Chelsea to take first, if I can lip read. I can't say I'm a lip reader. But it's definitely in front of the Newcastle supporters on this left-hand side. And I think it'll be Chelsea to take first. Chelsea finished the game with 78% possession. And despite not creating many big chances, they did take one in the 92nd minute through Mudryk, cancelling out a Callum Wilson goal scored in the 16th minute. Great commentary, cheers, mate. Thank you very much. You do commentary so naturally. Thank you. Are you surprised Cooper has been sacked? Oh, God, I'm conflicted because his results haven't been good enough. But I don't know. I feel like because he's done so well for Forest, maybe they should have stuck with him. But at the same time, if results aren't changing, sometimes a change is needed. So I'm a little bit on the fence with that. I can see why they've done it because the results have been so poor. But then, for what he's done for the club, did he deserve more time? Who knows? We've got the penalties there. Cole Palmer's first. Bottom right corner. Slots it beyond Martin Dubravka. Shusses the Newcastle fans, which is a risky move because that could backfire. But it is 1-0 to Chelsea. Cole Palmer with the goal. Slotting it beyond Martin Dubravka as the goal scorer for Newcastle, Callum Wilson, will be first to take for Newcastle. Got to remember, this is Eddie Howe's 100th game in charge of Newcastle. And what a way to cap off that 100th game with a win in the quarterfinals of the League Cup on penalties away from home at Chelsea. And another 100 mark has been hit tonight through Callum Wilson. This is his 100th game for Newcastle since joining in 2020. He scored his 46th goal tonight, averaging nearly a goal every 2 games, which is absolutely insane. And in front of his own supporters, it's Callum Wilson against Petrovic. He runs up towards it and it goes down the middle, lifts it. Petrovic dived to his left and he was just leaving an outstretched right arm trying to get towards the ball. But it was just about gone beyond him. And it's 1-1 in the shootout. Well taken by Wilson to just lift it down the middle. And it'll be their captain for tonight, Conor Gallagher, to take the second. Chelsea fan there. Can't quite bring himself to watch this. There's too much pressure. Gallagher against Dubravka. Takes it and puts it into the top left corner. That's a superb penalty from Conor Gallagher. It looked like there was no pressure on his shoulders. And it's 2-1 to Chelsea. And Newcastle have got to take their second now. And it'll be Kieran Trippier, the man who gave the goal to Mudryk on a plate. His short header back towards Dubravka was met by Mudryk, who slotted it into the bottom right corner. And it could go from bad to worse here for Trippier if he misses his penalty. Scored 2 own goals here. One for Spurs and then one last season here for Newcastle. He's then given the ball away for the goal in the additional time. Can he score his penalties to kind of make up for his error? Trippier with the right foot. But oh, it's gone wide! He aims towards the bottom left corner. And Kieran Trippier misses. It's 2-1 after 2 taken each. Chelsea have the advantage. And what is going on with Kieran Trippier? He's making mistake after mistake within games, including tonight. And now he's missed his penalty. That's gone so far wide. He had a quick look to the left to take. Oh, is it hit the post maybe? Not quite sure. It's definitely gone wide. Petrovic delighted for Chelsea and it remains 2-1. What a miss for Trippier. Something's really not right with the Newcastle right back. It's not like him to make errors. And he's usually so much calmer from the penalty spot. To give them a 2-goal lead, Christopher Nkunku runs up towards it and slams it into the top left corner. Similar to Gallagher. Really well scored there by Christopher Nkunku on his Chelsea debut. And it's 3-1 to Chelsea. And Newcastle could really do with scoring this to keep them alive in the League Cup. And with his bleached blonde hair, it's going to be Bruno Guimaraes to try and keep his side in the League Cup. This won't be the end of it, but it'll certainly put them further away of the semi-finals if he doesn't dispatch this penalty kick. It's another right foot. It's the Brazilian. He stutters. He takes it. He slots it into the bottom right corner. Sends Petrovic the wrong way. It's 3-2 after 3 penalties. Chelsea still have the advantage. Good penalty from Bruno Guimaraes, who will miss the first leg of the semi-final if Newcastle can turn this around after picking up a yellow card and added on time. And the man who's got us to this stage, off the bench for Sterling, Mudryk, is the next penalty taker to make it 4-2 and put Chelsea within a spot kick away from the semi-finals. If he scores this and Newcastle miss, it's Chelsea through. Mudryk, in those pink boots, puts it into the bottom left corner. Sends Dubravka the wrong way. It's a really calm penalty kick from Mykhailo Mudryk. And it's 4-2. And it means Matt Ritchie has to score to keep Newcastle in it. He came off the bench, Matt Ritchie, for what looked like an injured Anthony Gordon. And they need him to score. Matt Ritchie hasn't scored in open play within a game for Newcastle for quite a while. His last goal came in July of 2020 against Spurs. This won't go on his goal scoring record, but he could really do with dispatching this penalty kick. Matt Ritchie is saved by Petrovic. What a save from the Serbian goalkeeper, and it sends Chelsea through to the League Cup semi-final. They were minutes away from the exit, and now they're through, kicking down the door into the League Cup semi-final. It's heartbreak for Kieran Trippier and Matt Ritchie, who missed their spot kicks. But it is delight. It's more than delight for Chelsea, who have reached the semi-finals. They reached the final 2 seasons ago, where they were beaten on penalty kicks. They're in the semi-finals, where they will meet either Middlesbrough, Fulham, or Fulham in Liverpool, or West Ham and Liverpool, who meet tomorrow at Anfield. But it was 4 brilliant penalties from Chelsea. Trippier missed Newcastle's second, but Petrovic saved that 4th, diving to his left. It was a good height for him. It was right where you like them to be. And he battered the ball away from goal. Bit of height on it from Ritchie, but not high enough to get away from the diving George Petrovic. And the backup Chelsea goalkeeper has sent Chelsea through to the semi-finals. After 90 minutes, it ends Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. But after penalties, it's Chelsea 4, Newcastle 2. And the away side under Eddie Howe in his 100th game as manager of the club couldn't quite guide them to another final like last season. They fell short at the quarter-final stage. They're out of the League Cup. They're out of the Champions League. They've got Sunderland away in a couple of weeks' time in the FA Cup. They're 6th in the Premier League, a little bit off the pace for top 4. But this was a big chance missed for Newcastle. Like I say, Fulham are left, Middlesbrough, then either Liverpool or West Ham. And you feel like Newcastle would have fancied their chances against any of those teams. But it's Chelsea under Mauricio Pochettino to proceed to the semi-finals, where they'll find out who they face tomorrow night. But what a result. Literally minutes away from being knocked out to then knocking out their opposition on penalties. A mistake from Trippier for the Mudryk goal. A miss from Trippier in the shootout. It's all gone wrong for the experienced fullback in the last couple of weeks. He's making constant mistakes. A big one tonight. A miss of a penalty. And Stamford Bridge is absolutely buzzing. As after a game which was so frustrating for Chelsea, having 80% of the ball, not being able to break down the Newcastle defence to make many big chances. The biggest chance they got, they took through Mudryk. And in the shootout, they proceed through. And despite sitting 10th in the Premier League, they're through to the semi-finals of the League Cup. So, I hope you all enjoyed the live commentary of tonight's quarter-final League Cup fixture between Chelsea and Newcastle. We've got 3 commentaries coming up this week. We have got tomorrow's other quarter-final, the last one remaining, where Liverpool take on West Ham. And then on Thursday, we've got Crystal Palace welcoming Brighton in the Premier League. And on Saturday night at 7:45, I believe, we have got Serie A football being covered once again, where Roma are at home to Napoli. So make sure you check out the next 3 commentaries on the channel before Christmas. And then we're continuing more commentaries after Christmas with I think 4 before New Year. So make sure you keep checking the channel to see which commentaries are coming up. And just like and subscribe before you go. But from me for tonight, it's the end of the live commentary. Chelsea huffed and certainly puffed. And in the 92nd minute, they got an equaliser from Mudryk, cancelling out a Callum Wilson goal on his 100th appearance for Newcastle in the first half. It went to penalty kicks. They were taken in front of the Newcastle supporters, but that didn't faze the Chelsea players. They scored 4 from 4. Newcastle missed half of theirs. Trippier put wide. Ritchie's was saved. And at full time here at Stamford Bridge, it ends Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. But in the shootout, it ends Chelsea 4, Newcastle 2.